Alex, he just shows up to Chicago with fire. Fire. I mean, he was a molten piece of rock in a body.
To say that I was confident going into the first event would be an absolute lie.
It meant a lot just to see that boy hit that shot, dude. That was crazy.
San Diego Dynasty, 4 major events in a row.
It's a unique opportunity to be me on this team, you know?
A scrappy new squad here for the Ironman, taking down Dynasty, taking down X Factor. And here we go, Edmonton Impact and Legion to Edmonton Impact. They take 2 wins in a row.
Welcome to Go Sports Live. I'm Matty Marshall. I got Quinn Nadeau here from Iconic Paintball for the 2nd annual Iconic Paintball Award Show. Also, mark your calendars. We got the NXL event, the first event of the year. It's been a crazy offseason. It's going to be absolute madness at the first event. It's going down 2nd weekend of March, about a month away, as we head down to Florida and kick the season off. Just got back from the 10-man. Going to have those games up on Go Sports as well, too. Congratulations to Chicago Aftershock, continuing their legendary run by an absolute dominant performance, winning every single game that they played and taking down Cap Factory in the finals. Also, Valhalla took the amateur bracket. And also, we have Defining Moments Episode 2 coming out here shortly. So, Quinn, we got quite the show today here. This is the winner's edition of the show. I got my suit on because this is an award show, at least half a suit. But I figured I might as well come proper. Speaking of proper, we got a proper Englishman as the first man up. It's going to be Jack Wood. But yeah, man, Quinn, this is thank you again for putting this all together, man. Love what you're doing at Iconic Paintball. If you guys haven't checked it out, Quinn is a super fan and a mover and shaker behind the scenes, trying to bring a lot of cool stuff to the sport. So first of all, Quinn, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Maddie. I appreciate you wearing the half suit, getting all pumped up for the show. This is always the most fun of the year, just because we get to have tons of superstar players and industry guys in to chat and, you know, give them their awards.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. We're starting out with Jack Wood, just a legend in the game. We'll be bringing him in a second, but just kind of want to, you know, I would say lay down. Well, we got to lay down the rules and kind of how this all happened, but set the scene. But yeah, then it's just a laundry list of Dynasty All-Stars. We got Ryan Greenspan, Archie Montemayor, Marcelo Margot, Kevin Brettauer kicking things off after Jack Wood. And then we have some really cool awards that I think are, you know, people that I just love that they're going to get some FaceTime and that we get to talk to them a little bit. These are, you know, people whose efforts and whose work exists to magnify what already is going down and the battles that go down when the best of the best collide. And, you know, photographer of the year, videographer of the year. Then we're going to talk about some an up-and-coming squad, divisional player of the year, divisional team of the year, and then WNXL, and then breakout team. We got Mike Bianca, Jen Folk, Rob Butiaga. Sorry, Rob, if I'm butchering your last name. We got Brian Wolf for Verbal and Sam Bennett for All In Media, man. This is going to be exciting. So let's kick it off here and let's talk. Well, first of all, how did this all go down? If people didn't get to see our nominees award show, how did you kind of come, because this is your brainchild, and you put Iconic on the map by coming out with this, you know, huge list of what you thought was the best players ever, and then have done all this work to put this on. And so how did this start? Where did this come from?
So yeah, to me, the awards were kind of always about trying to bring recognition to players, whether it's the well-known guys, the people you never hear about, the type of personalities off the field with, you know, photographers, videographers. I think recognition is really important in kind of helping the drive and making people feel like they're valued in what they do. And, you know, there really was a vacuum in the sport of, you know, any sort of award or anything outside of just, you know, the kind of basic little things here and there. So I kind of figured, you know, why not jump in, make it happen? And I brought in a board of judges, including Maddie, Rich Telford, Isaac Barrow from Paintball Nerd. And, we also involved the community this year in our voting process so we could really dial in the true best in each category.
So how did it break down, again, just for transparency, as far as the metrics on the voting? Because you did bring in the public this year, but just kind of break that all down for everyone. So how people were able to actually, well, first of all, there was the nominations. That's a little different. But then when we actually got to the voting, how did that all go down?
So the voting itself, we made the decision this year to make the off-field awards for things like Photographer of the Year, Videographer, and so on, completely community-based awards. We kind of felt when you look at categories like this, the people that truly know them best are the fans of this content. So we really wanted to bring the community involvement in that way. And then additionally, the on-field awards, I've always been very protective of ensuring just truly the best person wins that. And it's not simply a popularity contest or who can use social media the most effectively. So we have a judging board of our 4 judges that I had mentioned already that vote for each player on a ranked voting system. Basically, they rank each category from 1 to 5, 1 being their top pick, 5 being their lowest pick. And then that generates a cumulative score to go to decide of who wins it. And in terms of how the community was involved with that, we added an additional point into each person's total to whomever had won the community vote.
Nice. So let's talk about who we I guess categories. Was there any, as we kind of, we're jumping into Jackwood first, and also I was naming off some lists. I'm not sure if we were trying to keep it secret who won as we kind of got through the show. So maybe, we dabbled a little bit in some of these winners, but, Jackwood is first on the show. So let's talk about categories. Maybe we start with his, and then as we're getting Jack ready to pipe in here all the way from England, and props to him for staying up late for this, because I think it's got to be around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning in England right now. But yeah, let's talk about categories.
Yeah, so categories when we're coming into someone like Jack Wood. So he was nominated, of course, for our Innovator of the Year award. That's an award that really looks to honor those within the paintball industry that are doing truly innovative products, concepts, those sort of things. And I mean, when it comes to a guy like Jack Wood, I mean, this is a best-in-class level designer. He's come out with some of the most iconic and, historically significant markers within the paintball industry. So I thought it would be great to lead off with a guy like him and really let people talk. What's actually kind of interesting as well is the category for Innovator. Jack really did pull away in the community vote. I mean, across all of the categories, we saw over 70,000 individual votes, and Jack within his category was quite dominant in the community voting.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see as far as the results, and we'll discuss this as we move through the show when different people come on in different categories, but who were the overwhelming vote getters? Because some of these, I mean, it took me a half a second to look at all the nominees and think, okay, well, it's this guy or this girl. And then other ones I really had to ponder for quite a bit of time and really, really, truly think about it and do a little homework before I made my vote. And I think that, so again, yeah, we'll get into that. But was this one a runaway victory for Jack? And who were the other nominees? If you have those, I don't know if you have them off the top of your head.
Yeah, so Jack, in terms of his own category, he garnered over 37% of the entire vote itself for that category. And he was going up against guys like Billy Wing from the Die team and some other kind of heavy hitters like that. But when you're kind of looking at the statistics for this vote, it was, quite rare to break through that 30% level overall within the community vote. And as I mentioned, he pushed up into the high range of that at 37% of the total vote.
Yeah, that's massive. It looks like we do have Jack Wood ready to go. So if we could bring him in here all the way from sunny England. Jack, you're a legend.
Hello.
We love you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Bit tired, but hanging in there just for you guys.
Yeah, I really truly appreciate it. When I looked at this list of people who are going to be on the show today, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be quite the show. We definitely have a laundry list of all-stars here, and you're one of them, man. I mean, you've been around this game for a long time.
I'm here as
well. You're here because you create these devastatingly perfect machine guns that we all are just, it's just an absolute pleasure to use. And so without you, a lot of our careers would not been as fun, because I got to shoot some of your guns, and you've done some insane work, not just this year. And this is another thing I would like to bring up, is that yeah, I'm glad that Jack won this award this year. I'm glad that the community was able to get in there and give this man his just due. But Jesus, Jack, you really have put quite the resume on the board here overall. And I know it's like
Well,
midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning your time, so I'm glad that you stayed
yeah,
up
I know.
for this. Then.
Well, we are getting along a bit now, aren't we? So I've been here for 30 years now. So that's how long I've been sat at my little desk, filing bits of metal and drawing things. So yep, yeah. Hopefully, in that time, I've made something that at least one or two guys have played with.
Just a couple. Yeah. I feel you, brother. I've been here for something like that too. I mean, look at the bald head and the gray beard. Yeah. We're getting up there, dude.
Oh yeah.
But I think it would be, just because I don't think a lot of people have seen your face or heard you talk before, but behind the scenes, again, you have been the crafter of these insanely fine-tuned, guns that have become an institution, that have become kind of the bar that other guns would like to get to. And, I mean, there's, all the top end guns are amazing, but you personally have been the guy that's that's the innovator, again, with the award behind the scenes. And the big first question I'd like to ask, because we do have, a ton of people we got to get through, but and I wish because I could sit and talk to you for hours as we have over beers in the past. But the first question, at the pubs. But I would like to, the question is, like, where did this come from? Where was your origin story? I mean, I guess the succinct kind of, short version of it, but when did you decide, like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to use my intellect to try to tinker on these paintball guns and make them better, to the benefit of thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people around the world, maybe even 100,000 at this point in time, that have been able to be blessed to shoot a gun that you designed.
It was, all of us started doing this just as a hobby. So literally the first time I picked up a paintball gun and it didn't work, that was like the start of it. Make it work. And then once you got it working, make it better. And you always want something that's better than the guy next to you or the guy across the field from you. So, that was the incentive to try and improve things and make it better, initially just for myself and then for my team. And then obviously we started, Leads and Jewels started Eclipse all those years ago. And it was my job to make the stuff that came in the shop work and make it better. So it's pretty straightforward. And then it's just grown and grown from there. So. But always wanting to put the best product on the field.
Yeah, I was going to say, anyone that's ever, picked up a paintball gun that doesn't work and doesn't know what they're doing, it's super straightforward. But no, it's look, I would say this to people that are kind of younger and starting their life. I'm like, figure out what you're really good at and then try to find other people that are better at things that you're not good at, because it definitely takes a team in order to make, it's incredibly important to surround you. Like, the heart doesn't do what the lungs do. The brain does not do what the kidneys do. It takes that entire system to create a body that can walk around and conquer the earth. And when you look at Planet Eclipse, you have a lot of people that are good at a lot of different things, but behind the scenes, the guy crafting the thing that does get in the hands of the public, and upon which their points and their games and their tournaments are going to revolve around, is how good that specific gun works. And then how well is Planet Eclipse going to push into the world? Well, if you guys had trash technology, the company wouldn't have been around for a long time. So again, I just got, not wearing a hat right now, but I will tip my proverbial hat to you in respect, just because it has been, it's been a long road. What has kind of been, and then I'm sure Quinn's got some questions. I just want to say,
first of all, it's not just me that sits back and does all this work. So I need to say thank you to Steve Monks, Flash, our electronics guy, and software guy, and to Matt Mahoney as well, who sits alongside me. And between us, we do all the mechanical stuff, all the design, make them look cool, make them work. So the three of us do all the products, all the way from the EMEC up to the CS3s, LV2s. We do the whole range, just the three of us. So I wouldn't be sat here if it wasn't for those guys. So
I'm sure Quinn's got a question for you too, Jacker, before we let you go, because probably got you for maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. But I think that the question to me, I'm just wondering, for people that have been in this for a long time, whether it be players or people that run fields or companies or run leagues, talk to a lot of those people. And when you've been doing something for a long time, I mean, it's also a question of motivation. So when you look at the hyperspeed of technology that we saw in the mid 2000s, when, you know, we were, you know, going from pump guns to then autocockers and automags, and then to the electronic revolution in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then you guys came in with your first gun, the Ego. But and again, that's, you know, you and I could spend a lot, you know, a couple hours talking about that at least. But I'm just kind of wondering, because there has been, you know, the hyperspeed of development, you know, gets to a certain point and the guns are capped at a certain rate of fire. What is still motivating you to pump out awesome technology after all these years? I mean, I could see back in the day why you were motivated, but right now, why are you motivated?
Yeah. I mean,
it's still happening.
Certainly in that period you're talking about, you know, trying to get up to 40 balls a second, that was, you know, we were pushing stuff like really hard. And yeah, there does seem to be a bit of not a staleness in the technology, but there definitely doesn't seem to be as many things that we need to beat and conquer and master at this point, which is where things like MagFed have been great for us, or making the EMEC, which is an entry-level gun, which, you know, will change how paintballers, you know, are introduced to the game when they first go and play at a rental field. So there's different challenges for me and for the company. It's not, I know you guys are mainly dealing with like the pinnacle of the sport, which is fantastic. And, you know, we have all of that covered as well. But to keep us entertained and amused in our day-to-day job, there's a whole range of stuff we still got to look at. So,
Quinn, I got to throw it over to you.
Awesome.
Any questions here for Jack? Because, you know, again, I could talk to this man for hours, nerding out about paintball
I guess
stuff.
my biggest thing I wanted to mention is, I guess being that you're kind of our de facto Planet Eclipse representative, I also wanted to mention that Planet Eclipse did also win the Supporter of the Year award for that incredible tech team you guys have been able to build. My question kind of centers around that. You know, how have you found a way to build such just an elite level of techs across the world? I mean, the one thing that's so critical, whether how good your gun may truly be, is when things do go wrong, is someone there to support it. And that's one thing I've really always loved about Eclipse, is from the smallest, you know, scenario event all the way up to the biggest pro level events, Eclipse is always there to support. You know, how are you guys able to build such a great tech team?
We pay them.
Hey, that's a great way to do it.
No, I mean, we've been really blessed to be able to work with guys and girls from all over the world that are really passionate about the sport, and for some reason they're really passionate about Planet Eclipse too. We get people, you know, begging us, can I please come and work events for you? Can I help with your tech support? Of course, it costs us a huge amount of money to have that amount of coverage with our tech support. You know, you guys, again, are mainly US based and look at the pro side, but like you say, we cover events all around the world and have techs at every major and minor events, you know, scenario games, big games. And, you know, it all comes down to that we're still players. Everybody, Led, Jules, me, Flash, everybody that works at Planet pretty much still plays paintball. And we think we know, as paintball players, what we'd like to see and what we'd like to, you know, we're not in the position where we can't say, you know, what level of support would I want if I was paying my money for this equipment? And that's how we always try and look at it ourselves. Like, you know, if something's broke, I want somebody there to fix it. Either pick up the phone or be able to go online, or at an event and I'm desperate to go and play next point, I just want somebody there to fix my gear for me. So we can see that, and we hope that the players appreciate it. And obviously they do, because they gave us these amazing awards. And thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we got a former, before they started their own company, we got Ryan's Greenspan coming up next. He definitely used your products for a long period of time. What is on the horizon? Where do you see things going, Jack, as we only got a couple more minutes left with you here? Well, actually, let me ask you this question. It does appear that a lot of people, I just came from the 10-man event at the ICP. A lot of people are using your guns there. And because you guys play so much paintball, and we're all getting again a little bit long in the tooth, a little gray in the beard here.
Yeah.
How much does mech paintball mean to you, and how much work did you put in? I'm guessing quite a bit to create that mech frame, and then kind of take, it's almost, again, you're governing. It's like creating a governor for the game to kind of diversify it a little bit. So your thoughts on the mech side of things, 10-man revival, and then the work that went into to creating and bringing that product to market.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, and I do find it a bit strange. I really enjoy it, and I do like the challenge of working with mech again. But like yourself, I've been around a long time, and it just felt like it was going to go. We were coming back through another cycle. It was like, how can I make the gun faster? Oh, maybe we could put electronics in it. That would make it faster. And it's happening again in the mech world. Everybody just wants the gun to shoot faster. Like, if you want to shoot faster, you can just put electronics in it if you like, and then it will shoot faster. So I find it quite amusing, but I do really enjoy it, because it's just a different side of the pneumatic and mechanical world for me. So yeah, it's been nice to go through this churn again, if you like, but with better technology than what we had back in the day. And actually, the main thing, being able to design it myself, my way, rather than trying to work with somebody else's mechanical guns and try and make them better. So I like to think of it as a better starting point.
It's like when you were putting the electronic guts and periphery onto an autococker to make that thing sing. I got to shoot those for a little bit.
Exactly,
they went pretty good, though.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny, though. We are working with a little bit of a Goldilocks zone. It's like you said, okay, yeah, you can put some electronics in it and make it shoot a little bit faster, but in the mech, they are trying to slow it down a little bit. So it's that fine line. You can't have it shoot too slow, so it's not fun to play. But you can't have it shoot too fast, because then we got to kind of leave it open a little bit to allow those moves on these big fields to kind of throw it back a little bit. But yeah, so Jack, really, truly appreciate. Quinn, any last questions for Jack before we let him go? We're going to bring Ryan Greenspan on next for kind of the Big Daddy Award here, or it's the Iconic Award. So we got to give Ryan Greenspan his some more glory, which I do like giving Ryan Greenspan some glory. Not that he needs any more of it these days, but well, he's earned it. He's 40 years old. He's still out there.
On the screen. His
I know.
head's going to be
have
like this big, just filling the whole screen.
Jack, I'm gonna have to start carrying his goggles in a semi truck. Like, hey, can we bring Greenspan goggles in? Yeah. Beep, beep. Did everyone get out of the way? Hold on a second. Right, I got it right here. Yeah. So no, but it's so yeah, Quinn, any last questions or anything you got for Jack before we let him go?
Yeah, sure. My last one was one that a lot of fans asked that they wanted me to present with you. If across your career and all the innovations you've had, what do you feel is the most innovative product you built in the paintball industry?
Not sure. I think a bit easier to answer which one I'm most proud of, I think. And I think the one I'm most proud of has to be the EMEC, just because I think it's already having, but will have probably the biggest effect on the growth of paintball moving forward. All the paintball fields that use them absolutely love them. The repeat business from the customers coming back time and time again because they're having such a good experience has been really positive. And then even it's that one marker on its own spans everything from a guy or a kid or a girl picking up a paintball gun for the very first time, all the way up to playing in the finals of ICPL last weekend. So it's such a broad product. So that's probably one of the ones I'm most proud of. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and it's less than $300. So
it's the best part.
Yeah. Entry point is definitely huge, because as beautiful as the $2,000 guns are, $300 is a lot more affordable for somebody that's getting into the game for the first time. And then you hook them, and then you get the $2,000 out of them, or the $1,500.
Exactly. Well, hopefully
it's like anything else you
300, do. Then the 500, then the 700, and then the $2,000.
Yeah. So Jack, thank you so much, man. Appreciate for all the efforts that you put in over the years, and just Jesus, I mean,
No
what a
problem.
blessing
Thanks
for the
Quinn,
paintball
for
world to
arranging
have
this,
you around.
And thank you very much for all you guys putting my name forward as well. And thank you obviously to everybody that voted for both myself and my support team, because they're an amazing bunch of guys and girls, and they deserve all the credit. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, you have a good night,
Sure,
Jack.
thanks
Take
for
care of
being on.
yourself and get some sleep, brother.
Will do. Take care.
Yeah, man, Jack Wood, class act. Quinn, I've always loved Jack Wood. I've known Jack for a long time, probably a little over 2 decades now, and used a lot of his products over the years. Was a Planet guy. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the guy who's coming up next, though. So let's have you do the introduction. Who do we have coming up next here, Quinn?
So, man, how do you introduce a guy that has over 100 event wins? He's the 3-time repeating World Cup champion and world paintball pro champion of the best team in the sport. We have Ryan Greenspan coming in, who is our iconic 2022 Icon of the Year. He was not only an absolute force on the field, but he made a massive impact on the field, bringing the sport to thousands of people at his clinics and on his show, Spick and Span.
Yeah, hopefully we get Ryan piped in here pretty soon. But yeah, it's, Ryan wears a lot of hats. There he is. He's at the Spick and Span set right now. I've been there a couple of times myself. Down in Pacific
Doghouse
Beach,
Studios.
California. Ryan, Doghouse Studios. How you doing, Bo?
Good. So this is the Creator of the Year award. Is this the one that you guys sent? Is this why you sent me this? Is this Creator of the Year?
No. You are not Creator of the Year.
I'll just put this back.
You
in
didn't
my,
win Creator of the Year, bro.
Later labeled headband case, and I'll save this for next year. Next year. Next year's our year.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. One of your teammates, one of your arch media nemesis, is though compatriot on the field, actually won Creator. We'll get to him in a little bit. But congratulations, Ryan. You won some big ones this year. You won the Big Daddy Award, I mean, the Icon of the Year is pretty huge.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. Just even being, nominated in this and is a great honor, And it's funny, Maddie, you mentioned just real quickly, like just to back on that, like the arch nemesis thing. It's funny because I feel like everybody in this sport is in it together as much as we all want to win. It's like important. It's a big W for everybody at every turn of the corner. You know what I mean? So big ups to Marcelo and Tyler on that one again. They're like the top 5% of all podcasts. So that's a huge W there. And like I said, playing against all the guys on the field and everything, it's a huge honor and really excited. I'm just happy to still be here.
Can you give us a little glimpse into the mind of Ryan Greenspan here? And because, you are an elder statesman, not only in your experience, but now in your years as well, too. Don't let the baby face and the no gray hair fool you guys. This man is 40 years old.
Oh, there's lots of gray hairs in there. There's wisdom, man.
You're hiding
wisdom.
Well, you hide it well. You hide it well. But yeah, so, a lot of people, I think, and I've been telling this to people, I've actually, in some of your people that you battled against on the pro field that are younger, I've brought you up many times where I'm like, hey, man, Ryan and the Dynasty dudes are still getting it done at 40, then you could still, play at a high level for whatever that is for you. Because look, I've been watching you play since you were 15 years old. And I truly feel that the past couple seasons, you've been playing some of the best paintball I've ever seen you play. And I'm not taking anything away from those early years, but it's just the seasoning. You're aging like a fine Northern California wine, bro, which you happen to be from NorCal, though we stole you and you live in paradise that is San Diego. But, what's the secret? What's the secret to the longevity?
That's actually a really good question, Maddie. I don't know. I mean, I guess positivity, having a good time, just making sure that like everything is all working together. And I don't know. I like to say the ocean is the fountain of youth. But the guys that I have on the team, especially now, right now, it's I feel like it's easier than ever. I literally don't have to do much at all.
You are an elder statesman.
I literally don't have to do much.
Are we having?
Don't let the baby face and the no gray hair fool you guys.
I was getting this weird.
Are we having? Are we having technical issues in the Spick and Span studios again, or what?
I don't know how I would be.
I've been telling this to people. I've actually
Is this me?
People that you battled against on the pro field that are younger.
Well, I mean, it was fine with Jack, so I'm guessing it's probably not.
You know,
Yeah,
Ryan
I'm getting Darren, the Iceman, our producer, is telling us from you.
You can still, play at
I don't know. Do you think it's listening to itself? Listening to itself?
Look, I've been watching you play since you were 15 years old, and I truly feel that the past couple seasons you've been playing.
Dude, it wouldn't be a spick and span influx of a show without that.
Yeah, absolutely. The second you get into the studio here, we would like to disrupt everything and make sure that we're all. I don't know. Do I have to put headphones in?
But hey,
Again,
that's
we're
why
not
you're
very
winning awards, right? You're a disruptor.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it.
It's actually a really good question, Maddie. I don't know. I mean,
It was good. Yeah, can you have any
I don't
headphones?
have like an external speaker anywhere that's like producing. It's just me talking to you guys.
that I have on the team, especially now.
Well, it's got to be on your end because it's not on my end or Quinn's end because I literally have my speakers muted by the headphones.
An elder statesman.
Read your lips, I guess, but then I can't hear you. I guess I can look for headphones. I don't really have any headphones. I got like the Bluetooth one somewhere in my house. But I guess I'll just kind of get back to the point that I was making about the fact that, sorry for all that. I'm sure that there's still going to be problems here. But I would say that this year and even last year have been easier and easier for me. I got guys like Archie, I got Mikey, Yosh, Alex, Marcelo. Everybody has to worry about Blake in the middle. We had Dalton, but no one really actually worried about him. He just kind of snuck up on everybody. But it's Dynasty's incredibly difficult to play against. We always have been in the past, and I think this year more than ever, it made my job really easy. And it's funny, whenever I'm teaching clinics, I always tell people about the communication side of things. And I say, make your number one guys, make everybody else do all the heavy lifting and the hard work, right? And I think that that's even more so ever present right now. That's kind of like the case, right? I got Archie doing half the battle and Mikey doing all the damage over there, Blake running through the middle, and I just go up there. I'm the last guy alive, and I just hit the buzzer. That's kind of how it was in the infancy of Dynasty as well. I let Oliver shoot everybody and Angel shoot everybody, and then I would just go grab the flag.
But yeah, I mean, you are definitely surrounded by a pretty ridiculous team. These top teams, we do talk about, the embarrassment of riches. The thing with Dynasty is a little bit different is they don't really have riches to throw at talent. So they're always constantly trying to contend with these top level teams, not having, 60, 50, 40 grand to throw at these dudes to keep these dudes around or to get them on the team. And all you guys have had some big coups to get some players that we did not think would leave their teams. I did not think that Kashir would leave Revo. I did not think that Harrison Fry would leave Infamous. But when Dalton was stolen, you guys had to answer. And I think that it definitely made a lot of sense to pick up those two dudes because those two dudes have become absolute elite players on the D side. And I'm really interested to see what Dynasty is going to do in 2023. But that being said, it's absolute rubbish that you're just kind of hiding and then you just go and just, hit the buzzer after everyone kills everyone because that's not happening out there. You've actually, the reason why I was saying you played some of your best paintball is because you've gone to war in some of the MVP performances you've had up in the center of the field. So some of the best play I've seen you had, other than maybe when, Joe Barrett tricked you into attacking when he threw the pot at you that one time, other than that one brief little tiny mistake that you made, it's been a display of a brutal aggression and top level experience out there in the middle of the field. It does look like maybe the audio's got cleaned up at the Spick and Span studios. So hopefully we can finish this interview with Ryan. But yeah, so your thoughts, Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah. What's funny about that pod trick is that's actually a BKI masterclass that Rusty put out that we use. Like we've used that before. Like we taught that skill set. But hey, listen, if you're in the middle of the field, I don't care who you are. If you're in the middle of the field and something bumps into the other side of the bunker, you're going to bunker that guy. So it's fun. Whatever. I'll take an L anytime that it comes out as a W. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big issue for me to. I've got thick skin too, both from being shot a billion times and people making fun of me and talking trash. So I'm not worried about any of that. But I'm just, like I said, we won that event and had a tremendous year, one of the best in paintball history, or actually, paintball history, which I believe we already kind of had that record anyway. But let me ask you this, and because this is something that a lot of people have been asking, do you think that this is the best team? Well, 2022 is the best team that Dynasty had ever assembled. And then do you think that this was our best season in history? Because we've gone through, stints where we were, 13 out of 15 tournaments we'd win, but people still didn't give us the credit and the respect and due because of.
I honestly look. I watched it all, and with as much of a critical mind as I can bring to it. We're all flawed, but and decent amount of that time I was playing against you guys and trying to take you guys down. But I think so, and the reason why is the level of competition. Because before, you guys were playing against, Jesus Christ, like for the first couple of years in the MPPL, you guys were just cashing $50 checks, playing the Night Dogs and the Tauntauns, while the rest of us were just, slaughtering each other, shooting chainsaws in the NXL in media oblivion. But the reason is like now, Dynasty doesn't just have to contend with excessive and infamous and whatever top teams there were that year. Every single one of the pro teams, all 20 teams, even DMG who got relegated, made Sunday last year. That's how good pro paintball is getting. So because the competition is so stiff and everyone had to deal with the ridiculousness of COVID, we had that break. Since the COVID break, you guys have won, I believe, 6 of 11 tournaments, 3 in the past year. Jesus Christ, dude. World Cups, World Cup after World Cup. So to me, when you look at the level of competition, you look at the level of mastery and how good you guys have been the past 2.5 years. Yeah, I would argue with anyone that would like to argue that, and people that know me know that I love to argue. And I think that, I think that this is, you guys, the run you're having right now is putting up putting you guys in, you of course already were at that level anyway. But as we go into the history of this sport in the next 20 years or so, what you're doing right now is absolutely, and what has been done at least in the past 2.5 years, 6 of 11 tournaments in the most competitive it's ever been. Yeah, bro. I mean, I think that that's the best run a paintball team has ever had, based on level of competition, because you don't have to go out and beat 1 or 2 teams. You have to beat everyone in the league because these younger teams are getting better and they can beat anyone at any time. So that would be my kind of like trump card that I would pull in that conversation or in that argument. As like, okay, well, point me to a time when it's been more competitive. I don't think it ever has. And so yes, I think what you guys are doing is historic. It's amazing. It's iconic. And you guys deserve every bit of the credit that we're giving you right now because you earned it the hard way because you guys are 40 goddamn years old. So, and it doesn't get any easier as you get older. So you add that into the mix too, dude. This is a story for the ages. It's something that people are going to be able to look at for a long period of time as an inspiration. And so, yeah, you guys earned it the hard way. And I'm glad that we have so many Dynasty guys on this list right now because you guys deserve it, bro.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate that. And obviously big, huge shout out to the support team that we have, behind the scenes, off, like not the guys that are on the field. But I agree, Maddie. And one of the things that I just love about the team right now is everybody's so in tune with, being on the same page, all have the same mindset. Obviously, everybody goes into all the events with the mindset that let's all win, like let's all do this. But it's just a different vibe with the team right now than what we've had in the past. And we just have so many weapons and so many defensive and offensive weapons. It's so difficult to pick us apart because you can't pick on one guy. I mean, I know Archie's coming up next. I would have had him in for this award as well, playing out of position. And I don't know exactly what award's coming up next, but it's probably going to be the Snake offensive guy of the year. And he's definitely deserving of that. And it's so awesome to see. And like, it's funny at our age right now, I'll be 41 in 2 weeks. Got
it, brother.
Still got it. Keep the fire burning and the wheels turning, I guess, and just keep having fun out there.
Quinn, you got any last question?
kind of
Yeah,
going
go
on
for it.
Ryan's question, I think the biggest evidence of why this is the best team we've ever seen in the history of paintball is just this year's awards. I mean, we had a pretty stout level of competition amongst all the nominations, and Dynasty swept all the major playing categories. So I think that's, proof enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
well,
true.
when you win this much, I mean, when I looked at this, I mean, you have got to be blind to look at at least the ballots that I got and look at the situation. I'm like, look, these dudes, we won 3 of the 6 events this year, and so just this year alone, again, and this is what we were voting for, but yeah, this again, like I said at the start of the show, some of these awards I looked at, and it took me, I don't know, a little bit of time to really ponder and think, okay, who is going to get this award? But some of these other ones, I mean, it was a microsecond. I'm like, yeah, this is obviously this award. And the guy we got coming up next is one of those guys. So yeah, man, again, Ryan, congratulations. And I just don't
Thanks,
see you
Matty.
guys slowing down, dude. I think you got at least, 2 or 3 more months in you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because, as we all know that sorry, I had started to say it. No, who knows? I mean, honestly, every season is going to be a new high watermark for the game, because that's what we're looking at right now. That's what you're watching. You're watching Dynasty put up high watermarks again for everyone to chase. And it's, that should be a giant, steroid shot of motivation for anyone that wants to come take this crown. I use you guys as an example. Just Ryan, quick, I know we got to let you go, but it is, Ryan Greenspan just won the goddamn Icon of the Year award. So, but I think this is kind of important. But, so the new pro team, Notorious, had a rather trash prelim game. And I talked to those guys afterwards, and I used you and Alex Frazier and the other, 40-year-old elder statesman on Dynasty as an example, because, Notorious lost this game because they in that game somehow had convinced themselves that paintball is a game of reflexes. And I just watched a lot of guys lose terrible gunfights. And, and I had like about 5 minutes to talk to him before our next game. And I said, hey, I'm like, how old are you? Oh, 22, 23, 25. I'm like, all right, if I put you on a machine and I measure reflexes, do you think you're going to have faster or slower reflexes than Ryan Greenspan or Alex Frazier at 40 years old? Like, what do you guys think? And they kind of hummed and hawed a little bit. And I didn't have much time. And I said, well, I'll just answer that for you. There's not a chance in hell that Ryan or Alex are beating you on a reflex test at 40 years old, because that's not how reflexes work. But paintball at its highest level is not about reflexes. It's a mental chess game that is played with guns. And the earlier that you guys figure this out, you guys get to these crucial 50 spots and you're just, gunfighting from that spot. That's not how this is done. That's not how you're going to win paintball tournaments out here. That's not how Dynasty is creating yet again another high watermark for everyone to look up to. And sure enough, they go on and they're going to be, your new pro team that you're playing against, and tip their hat in respect to them. But yeah, so it's just it's really impressive. So I think you still got some time. Ryan, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Check out Spick and Span on every 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. They've had some good ones recently. It's been a little crazy. But yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for everything you do for the sport, man. We are blessed to have you, and I'm glad you live in San Diego, so we get to kick it. Let's go play some golf.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Maddie. Thanks, Quinn. Thanks everybody who has been involved in this. Quinn, what you're doing with the media side of game, I mean, you should put yourself in the honors for the media side of thing. I think you're doing such an awesome job in reviving a lot of the conversation in paintball that are kind of more deep in depth thought about paintball. Also want to thank everybody on the team, all the guys that helped contributed to Dynasty's most successful season yet, and our sponsors, Field One. If you haven't bought a Force yet, I don't know what you're waiting for, because obviously we're winning lots of tournaments with that. Anyway, I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys all for the support, and I'll see you, Maddie, in a couple of weeks on the field.
All right, brother. Take care. Yeah, so Quinn, man, yeah, just it was not enough hyperbole, an exaggeration to describe what Dynasty has done, because they have been such a dominant force, and we got another legend coming up next. So why don't you introduce us and discuss who we got coming up next and what they won.
Yeah, so next up we have Archie Montemayor. I mean, obviously this is one of the all-time greats, first ballot Hall of Famer, whatever you want to call him. But I don't think anyone expected when he showed up to Dynasty that he was going to roll into that role as the Snake One, playing every single point of the year, just absolutely dominating it for the best team in history. So we are super proud to award Archie Montemayor with both the Offensive Player of the Year and the Snake Player Year of the award, which he won dominantly in the voting.
That makes all the sense in the world. This was, again, one of those that I looked at it and I was like, oh, offensive player of the, I mean, before I even said the sentence offensive player of the year, I'm like, yeah, that's Archie. And then snake player of the year, same thing there. That was obviously Archie Montemayor. If you watched any high-level professional paintball as a fan in 2022, it was glaringly apparent that Archie Montemayor was the most important guy in the snake because he was playing that role for the most important team of the year, which was San Diego Dynasty, and he won yet another MVP award. So hopefully we can bring Archie in here and ask him some questions about this dominance. There he is, Archie Montemayor, dude. Still got it, brother, after all these years, dude. And this, so Archie, before we get into this, and this is funny because I've asked you this question a few times, but it's so we got to keep asking it because it just it worked out for you, man. You move over from X Factor, big move there, right? That's a huge question mark too, because you're going to a team that's already winning, and you've had a historic career. You helped put X Factor on the map. You helped lead that team to victory, help behind the scenes to craft it as a captain and leader on that squad. And then, and we talked to Jack Wood, and I asked him, Archie, I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but I asked him, I'm like, look, man, you've made incredible machines for going on almost 3 decades now. What still motivates you? And he had his own answer, but that's always my question to guys like him, yourself, and Ryan, these, the prime movers at the very elite top end of things. Is like, well, what still motivates you? And when we asked you, we sat Archie down for some interviews with Defining Moments, our new documentary series that we're working on, episode 2 coming out soon. But that's always a question when you've literally won it kind of it all and done everything. And then you're like, well, you know what, man, this was a personal quest. And if I go to Dynasty and they lose, well, it's easy to point the finger at me because they're already winning. And that is not at all what happened. I mean, Jesus Christ, you guys, you had about as good of a year as a team could possibly have. So how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing really good, man. Yeah, life is great. Obviously paintball is freaking great as well. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying what's happening. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to be happening. I've got my, I'm still inspired. I'm still feeling really confident and very, just in a great space. Obviously, like, to be awarded and even nominated in the categories is a big honor. And then to, thank you guys for both the awards. Obviously, like neither of those are a slouch, a type of award. And, I just feel really incredibly grateful to be a part of the team I'm playing with, and, not even just the team, but really the group of individuals, because that's what makes up the team, and everybody that's a part of this squad really plays a pivotal role. And it's been really just a true blessing to join the squad and kind of really enjoy myself, in this game, like as much as I kind of remember enjoying it,
Yeah. I mean, it looked like you were really playing with some pure joy out there. And I got a couple questions for you, but I do have to start out with, were there any nerves coming into the year? I know you're trying to play in that flow state, but man, that's got to be a little intimidating, even for somebody like you to come in. You end up you're winning the award, Archie, for playing. You're the best snake player of the year, and you get offensive player of the year on San Diego Dynasty, who won 3 events. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous, right? And when we talked, as you made this move a year ago, and you were like, Maddie, I'm stoked on life. Everything, is clicking for me. Got the one of my dreams. Business is good. And, with paintball, I want to take like a huge shot. I want to kind of, take a step where it's perilous and I don't know how this is going to go. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on me because I feel like I'm going to thrive in that moment and I'm willing to take that risk. But I got to ask you in your heart of hearts, but as it was kind of kicking off, were there any nerves, any uncertainty, or were you just completely clear in your vision and your motivation of where you were going with it?
I was definitely, I couldn't have been more clearer in my motivation and my vision and my decision. Obviously, like it couldn't have strung a chord, any deeper in my body, to be honest. It was such an easy decision. However, obviously I knew the risks, but thankfully I would argue that I've made a career out of having my kind of nerves in check, and being able to be kind of myself in those really critical moments that, throughout my career. And obviously, the nerves do get the best of a lot of people. And I feel like thankfully it's not something I've really had to fight much. But at the same time, I do feel like there was definitely some pressure there. And I remember the first event, obviously we're playing X Factor early in the round. And there is that kind of like, well, did I, well, let's see how this plays out, right? And obviously the season is a testament to, kind of how well thought out I thought my decision was. And obviously the team is just exceptional, and the teammates, and I think my play, really was, boosted by being around that group of guys. So definitely really, I couldn't be more grateful. Again, I'll say it probably forever, but how special of a group, special of a team this is, specifically right now at this very moment, to have guys that are in their 40s still trailblazing the circuit and really leading by example as human beings, as business owners, as paintball players, as, just in general, like life influencers, I mean, like there's just so much greatness that I'm surrounded by at the paintball field now. And it's really kind of, it's just, again, I feel so incredibly lucky to be a part of it.
It looks that way from the outside, and discussing it with everything, behind the scenes, and then watching it go down on the field. Man, I'm just glad I get to see this. This is really cool. I just keep using you guys as an inspiration to other people that are trying to get to that level, because like you said, I mean, dude, pro sports, especially when there's actually there's a scene coming up. We're working on Defining Moments episode 2, almost done with it right now, but where Archie, you and I showed it to my wife, you go up to a spot and then dodge this paintball, and it's so to have dudes that are in their 30s and now early 40s dodging tiny little paintballs at 200 miles per hour, it's super cool to see. But I think honestly, I think that the elephant in the room though is that you did have to, I want to say have to, look, we've seen you play as an attacker throughout your career, but to take over as basically Dynasty's main snake attacker is almost, if it's not the biggest story of 2022, it's one of the biggest stories. And people got to be wondering, like, okay, well, how did that go down? Because sure enough, that's what happened. I mean, I don't think you came on the team. And I remember talking to you on the phone when no one's listening and there's no cameras rolling. And I'm like, how do you see your role on the team, Arch? And you're like, oh, well, it'll all work itself out. And Alex Frazier, I love, he's a teammate of yours, but when we would be like lost on the road, broke down on the, side of the highway, or where some crazy things were happening, we started saying this one phrase, which I still use to this day because it's so true. It sounds like some, like woo-woo bullshit, but it really is. It's a thing. And the phrase we would say is, a solution will present itself. A solution will always present itself. And
I genuinely believe that.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just came down to Skinny has obviously a lot of guys to pick from on this team. And, the first event, it just kind of ended up being me and Marcelo, or me and Ryan, working out really well out there. And, obviously for the first event, that was the last thing I would have expected, but then after that weekend was over, it was kind of like, well, shoot. And I mean, we've got Dalton on the Doritos. We got, Ryan, Blake in the middle. We got Yosh, Marcelo holding down everything that needs. We got Alex. Obviously, he can play everywhere. It kind of just ended up being like, well, you know what? Maybe that's a good place. And it kind of ended up just playing out that way all year. Obviously, I think in the second event in Dallas, I thought I had a really incredible tournament, even though we didn't really do that well as a team. I thought some of my best ball, and that was also on the snake side as well. So I think after that event, it was kind of like, well, that's kind of, maybe where I'm going to be leaning towards for the rest of the season. And, obviously I still wouldn't have predicted how it would have played out for the last 3-4 events. But, at the end of the day, I was confident. I really do feel like I can play at the best level at any position on the field. And thankfully, my team trusted me in that. My coach trusted me in that. And, when you have that level of faith in you, not even from your own self, it boosts your own level of faith to go out there and do what you want to do.
Man, you looked very free. You looked very much in that flow state. Quinn, what do you think about Archie's performance this year? You got any questions for him? Because it was, I wouldn't call it a transformational experience, because we've seen Archie do that type of thing, but it very was a moment where possibilities can condense into reality, which can be very beneficial to everyone within the confines of a team. And Jesus Christ, man, like that really was incredibly beneficial for Dynasty's results this year, especially as Archie was kind of breaking down as it kind of played out in the evolution of it. What do you think, Quinn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was kind of the most exciting thing about Archie's season this year was, I mean, like you said, we've seen Archie in these roles before, but I really feel he played in a very transcendent style. I mean, you kind of came into this year and played the Snake in a totally new way from what we have seen the last few seasons. And I think that was so exciting to me. And that shows why you were such an effective offensive player, because you didn't have to just do the smash and crash, get in there and, trade out style. I mean, you were getting in there and just methodically going down the field and just, eviscerating opponents and kind of picking them apart. And I love to watch that because it reminds me so much of how the game used to be in that kind of, high speed chess. And I think that's a big reason you won this award with the judges.
Well, and it's also one of those situations where it's like right place, right time, right talent. So Archie had put himself in the right place with the right team, and he had the right talent. And then also part of the right time was that, we had Jason Trozen, the commissioner, come up with some relatively unconventional snakes. We didn't really see any like hardcore crash and burn type snakes. So it allowed for a certain level of aggressive freedom out there, where if you had a player like Archie who was able to read the field the way he was able to, so, because Archie, there was some times when you played some, all right, affix bayonets and go forward type style in the Snake, but there were other times, even sometimes within the same game, where it was a little bit more cautious, patient, wait for the moment. And that is what kind of you need. That's what you're looking for, best case scenario, in a player, in yourself. So maybe, before we let you go here, Archie, maybe the last thing you could just let everybody know, because I feel like that's why you won this award. We had some unconventional snakes. You thrived in them, and you thrived in them with different conditions and, different, elements that were popping off that you had to deal with. And, maybe just a word out there for people that play the Snake. I mean, you played it in such a diverse style. Again, sometimes it was full court press, play as hyper aggressive as you can. And then sometimes within the same game, you would have to pump the brakes and play a little bit more cautious. So, maybe a little bit of advice as to how you're supposed to play that Snake side before we let you go.
Right. Well, I mean, in general, I think paintball, the best part about paintball is that kind of like your playing style is almost like your art, And for me, I've always really wanted to play in a creative way. And that's essentially doing my take on how to play any position that I'm given, right? And particularly this year on the Snake side, it was definitely a whole mixed bag of each layout being its own kind of thing and own kind of style, but being able to kind of like pick and choose how to play the Snake, throughout different matches, throughout a tournament. And also, like, when you're dealt with like a really difficult Snake where there's just a lot of risk and maybe not a whole lot of reward, well, that's a great opportunity for yourself to find the ways to make it work, right? And for me, like, those very difficult layouts and the very hard positions are, what I feel are like a great learning opportunity for you to grow your game. And I really enjoy that opportunity to kind of relish in that moment and really try to master even the hardest spot, or a very difficult spot on the team where it's like, oh shit, man, there's a lot riding on that one position. And certainly this year there was, and I just feel really, happy and pretty proud that, again, my body of work just kind of lended itself to playing at pretty high level this year. So, again, I will say that I think a big part of that is playing on this team. I think the energy and the mindset and the individuals, it's just such a special thing. And again, like, I know you're about to get another one of us on here and kind of just the Dynasty show here. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys again to you guys for even doing the awards. Obviously it's a big honor. And yeah, thanks again to my team, my teammates, my team, and our sponsors.
Man, mad respect, Archie. Unbelievable as a pillar in this institution that we call paintball at its highest level. Also, make sure you guys check out Project Paintball with some awesome stuff that Archie's been doing, some products they've been dropping with his cohort, Ryan Brand. Yeah, so yeah, man, Archie, you are dude, a favorite next year too, because I don't know.
We'll
Obviously,
see.
there's some we'll see. I mean, AC Diesel stepped up and went big, and there's Impact, Heat, obviously all these up and coming squads. It's going to be a really fun 2023 season.
Yeah,
but appreciate
it's going to be an
all your
exciting
efforts,
year.
brother.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Take
for
care,
sure.
Arch.
Appreciate talking.
Yeah, so we're going to be bringing Marcelo Margot on next, Quinn. And why don't you set the stage here for Marcelo?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about a guy like Marcelo Margot, he's one of the first names everyone always thinks of when you think of a defensive player of the year. I mean, he consistently has to play some of the worst spots on the field and do them at an elite level all year long. And I think that sort of flexibility he has on the field is, truly what pushes him to be a repeat winner of the Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's actually officially our first and only repeat winner since we started the awards with both this and the Creator of the Year for his Play the Game podcast with Tyler Harmon.
This makes complete sense. Look, Marcelo Margot, talk about institutions. He's an institution in the sport. He's been playing this game at an elite level since he was 15 years old. He was a phenom coming up, bounced around a little bit, came up with Ironman and during the mid 2000s and really made his mark early as, one of those phenoms that we needed to keep our eyes on. Floated around a bit, played for the Russians, played for Infamous. And then, Ironman again, found his way back to San Diego onto San Diego Dynasty. And if you look at I feel that the linchpin, I love that word linchpin. If you look at the linchpin on the field for San Diego Dynasty, it's Marcelo Margot because he plays almost every single point. If you look at that team and who gets the spins, who gets the the reps out there, it's pretty much as things progressed, and we can get Skinny Kevin's comments on this because he's coming up here in a little bit too after Marcelo. But, if Marcelo's good to go, he's playing. Ryan's going to play. Archie's playing. Dalton, when he's healthy, he's a bit of a glass cannon. He's going to play, So, they got a deep roster, but and also he was a huge part of their first win. I mean, he's always alive. And I know Defensive Player of the Year doesn't have the best ring to it when you're playing a game that prides itself on offense. But Jesus Christ, man, I can't imagine a more valuable human being for the organization than Marcelo Margot. So if he's there, let's bring him in because definitely want to get his thoughts. Again, we got a long show tonight. We got a tons of award winners doing the Iconic Award show. And there he is, Marcelo Margot, quarterback of the year. Marcelo, how you doing tonight, bro?
Fantastic, man. It's been nice. I got home a little sooner than I thought, so I've been able to watch some of these interviews. And as always, I know I said this last year, I love the Iconic Awards and the show you guys are doing. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you, guys.
Bro, I'm wearing a suit tonight because, we're giving some awards out. So
I see that.
Suit jacket on.
I see that. You need like a Hormesis pin or... Yeah, you need like a Hormesis pin or like a black... I know, I see that. I know. But like a black button up with a Hormesis tie or something, let's class it up a little bit. I think you could do a little better.
Protector.
I mean, that would be great, but those don't exist. At least I haven't been sent one. Hey, Oliver, Alex, if you got a Hormesis tie, send it my way. I'll take a pin too. But yeah, so Marcelo, you deserve every bit of the credit we're giving you, man. I know this has been a little bit of the Dynasty show as we've been discussing things, and rightfully so. For Christ's sake, man, we're talking about a team on one of the most legendary runs that this sport has ever seen. 3 wins in 6 events this year, 6 wins in 11 events going back to the World Cup of 2020. I mean, it's just been a huge run that is, and also considering, and you're not out there quite yet, but the core of the team is 40 years old. This is an inspiration to anyone that plays the game. It's awesome. And now that you keep stacking this award up. So I think, again, elephant in the room, right? It's like, how frustrating is it for you though? Because look, you came up as an offensive guy. You have offense. We've seen you play the one on the D side. We've seen you play the one on the snake side. You have that in your game, but because you're so good, a lot of times you're going to get tasked with the kind of trash, spot. It's like, all right, well, we need somebody that can like hold a lane, talk, not die, gunfight, all these different things that you have to have somebody to do, and very few people on any pro team, anyone in the world, let alone even the top level pro teams, can fit that entire bill. You fit that entire bill, which is, I feel that this type of award is honestly a great credit to your paintball IQ. Buy his book, Paintball IQ, by the way. But I think that this is I just want to get your thoughts on it. I know it's frustrating a little bit because you have all these different components of your game that we could see, but based on who you are on the team that you're on, I mean, you have like fit in like a puzzle piece to this master plan that is the Dynasty dominance, where the Dragon just feasts on other teams' dreams. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it's frustrating at all. I know we joke, when I hear that I'm nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, I definitely joke about
I gotta ask.
frustrations with it. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, our team has won a lot this year, and in the last 3 years, right? And so that means everything's working. It means the coaching is fantastic, the staff is fantastic, everyone's playing the perfect role, or at least good enough of a role to where it's working. So everything is really good on that front, right? You really can't complain about that. The team's had so much success, and so whatever part I can fit into that success, I'm just really happy to be such a big part of the team, and have the guys accept me and trust me out in those big moments. Which is, at the end of the day, I feel like in sports, you want to be, if you're a true athlete that really wants to be the best, the only thing you could really ask for at the end of the day is when the game's on the line, is the coach going to put you in, right? Whatever your role is, right? You could be the best defender, best rebounder, like whatever the role is, when the game's on the line, are you trusted in that moment? And I like to think that I've earned Skinny's trust over the years, and I plan to continue to earn that. And really, it doesn't matter what the award is, as long as the team is winning, and the team has been winning. So,
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got that nod.
as well.
You deserve it. Yeah, go for it, Quinn.
I'll say I love that. I love that about your style as well, right? Because a lot of players on a lot of teams get put in that position to save games and be the guy to kind of hold the line, and that's why I've always thought you were such an elite defender in that sense, was because you always meet that moment no matter how big it is. And we've seen it. We saw it multiple times this year. You were able to do that, whether it was against the Saints at the beginning of the year, or even rolling into the end of World Cup, kind of really helping pull that team together. And I mean, even adding on to that, I mean, what you were able to do in Europe was incredible as well. I mean, you kind of went in there with a really young team, and you kind of were a dominant force over there on the European circuit. So I think it really speaks to the type of player you are. I would love to kind of hear your thoughts about, how do players kind of develop that nuance you have, where you can find ways to affect the game at just even the littlest, smallest level. You can find ways to make impacts.
that's actually a really good question, Quinn, and I'm glad that you brought up going over to Europe. And Maddie, you kind of alluded to quarterbacking. There's nothing I enjoy more in the game of paintball than actually quarterbacking on the field when it works. Like when you orchestrate something that might be a little bit off script, or you're kind of straying from the game plan. You might see something, or you lose a body, or you shoot a body, and you are able to recognize where the advantage is, and you can kind of orchestrate your team's play, and it works. That's like the best feeling in the world. Even if your teammates are the ones that are having the success on it, it feels really good. And that's something that, when we're doing our clinics or pro schools or coaching teams, it's really a hard thing to teach. I don't think it is a teachable thing. That's something that truly takes a lot of experience. What you can do immediately to become somewhat efficient at it is at least understand like the entirety of a game plan. What I mean by that is not just the X's and O's, but the intention in the play. Is our team trying to win down the Dorito side? Is our team trying to win down the snake side? If you understand what your team's trying to do in that point, then during the point, you can be more effective at actually, making that happen and facilitating that, and reminding your players. Really, that's what most of it is. It's not like you're out there orchestrating a bunch of things that your players don't know. Did we lose Maddie, or is that just on my? Oh, no. There he is. He's back. No, you're not orchestrating things that you're. Okay, screen went black for me. Sorry, guys. It's not necessarily that they don't know. It's just a lot of reminding, and like, hey, we have an advantage over here. Let's go try to win down this side. Or, hey, we don't have an advantage over there, so we have to win down this side. Or, hey, don't forget, guys, we only got 2 minutes left and we're up 1. Ryan, don't make that move right now. Like those kind of things are really important to the game. And they're fun, but it's hard to teach. That's something that really truly just takes a lot of experience and a lot of thought. You really have to be really mindful of not just your game. You're not just focused on what you're doing. You have to be so focused on what all 10 pieces on the field are doing, not just the other 5, but your 5 as well. So it's a lot of thinking. And to me, that's the best part of this game is the how in depth it can really be.
It's a perfect segue actually to Marcella, because we got so many people on here. And you and I and Tyler have had 6-hour podcasts before, so we can be a little long-winded. But
yeah,
one of the questions, if you look at the game of paintball, you have professional paintball players like yourself, and then you have paintball professionals. Jack Wood, who we had on earlier, is the creator of the tech mind behind the scenes at Planet Eclipse. is a paintball professional. And there are, people that own fields, and, there are people that are paintball professionals. You are both. You are both a professional paintball player, and you are also a paintball professional, because you have, the Play the Game podcast. You've written a book about this. You teach clinics. You coach teams. I mean, dude, Marcelo lives in San Diego, and we you kick it on occasion, but this man is on the go so much that it's hard to connect with him, because he literally spends, all year long as a paintball professional when he's not being a professional paintball player. So my question to you, Marcelo, obviously, getting the Creator of the Year award, you kind of rub it in Ryan's face a little bit as Play the Game podcast winner of a Spick and Span show. But, you guys have a really high-rated podcast. I mean, you guys have like a whole community behind the scenes with your Discord, with all the, the GOAT Squad. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the difference, what I'm talking about here. Again, professional paintball players and paintball professionals, and how honestly difficult it is to do both. I know you find joy in this, but Jesus Christ, bro, I don't know that many people that fly more miles or hustle harder than you are right now.
Yeah, Maddie, it would be fantastic if we just got a full paycheck to, focus 100% of your time on playing. Like, my curiosity for what you could become as a player, lends itself to thinking about that, right? Of course, I enjoy the work side of it, but, if you want to do paintball full time, it's not going to be just playing, at least not yet, and hopefully one day it will be. And that's actually part of Play the Game podcast. And, not just us, actually, the whole, Creator of the Year thing had so many phenomenal nominees. And then also, the videographers, everyone that is doing so much these days. I think, Play the Game podcast earning Creator of the Year really is just a representation of all of the media as a whole. I think this year was better, or 2022 was better for paintball media than it's ever been. The reach is phenomenal. I feel like we're seeing a new podcast or a new show pop up every other week, which is just so fantastic. I love to see it. You have, obviously, you were one of the first with the Real Deal podcast, and then Carl Markowski, he's like the godfather who really took it serious and did it for a long time. The Playing On podcast, still fantastic. My goodness. Ryan Moffitt from the sidelines, Behind the Bunker, Overshot. There's so many people that are creating, obviously, the Spick and Span show, and Hormesis, when I saw them up against us as Creator of the Year, I was like, oh, well, that's a wrap. They're a giant, they're like absolutely massive.
As we're all wearing
what a tremendous honor. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Hormesis, what they've done for the community has been so exciting as well. But really, I think it's just, amazing where paintball is right now as far as media goes. We're better than I think we've ever been, and we're reaching more people than we've ever reached. Play the Game podcast this last year, we got notified that we're in the top 5% of all podcasts in the world. I think that's phenomenal for paintball. That's a huge win for the sport. The amount of people that have messaged Tyler and myself, and let's not get this twisted. I wish Tyler could be here, because I could not do Play the Game podcast without Tyler. That's for sure. Tyler and I are, I picked and he picked, we both picked, the best business partners, in my opinion. And we've had people reach out to us that have never played paintball before, that stumbled upon the show and, went out and played, and now we're hooked, and they play every weekend, and they're on a D4 team, and, they keep us updated with their progress. It's really phenomenal. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think as far as the podcast goes, it's going well. We're excited to continue to create just great things and try to bring as much media to the masses as we can.
Man, I'm just so happy. It's like some of the younger guys that come in occasionally will talk to me, and I'm like, yeah, bro, here's a dull machete and a dim torch, and we've been cutting this road through this jungle for a long period of time. So I'm glad you're here to help, because, and Marcelo, you and I have been talking about this for, Jesus Christ, probably almost 15, 20 years now, and you've heard me say this till I'm blue in the face, but no one just mysteriously wakes up in the morning and is like, you know what, man, all of a sudden I just, really wondering what's happened with Marcelo and Dynasty right now. That's not how it works. You are made to care. The operative word in that sentence is made. You have to make somebody care. And the way you do that is you tell them a story. So Quinn, what you're doing, Marcelo, what you're doing, what Ryan up to the game's doing, what we're trying to do here at Go Sports and been doing for a long time before that with, with the PSP. And this is my 20th year calling paintball games. So I'm just so happy team, because Jesus Christ, we need as many of those people as possible, because we don't have legacy media. And we, I'd say, like, we are here to save ourselves. So if you're down with that, and Creator of the Year award, and I'm super happy that you guys were able to do that, because yeah, I mean, you guys are doing something special over there with the Play the Game podcast, and definitely appreciate all the efforts you guys are putting in. Quinn, sorry, go ahead, Marcel.
Real quick, one last thing. I just want to thank both of you and all the other pros and all the other players, NXL, WNXL divisional players that have come on the podcast as well. The show's not possible without you guys. So, when we do reach out, or if you have a story that you think is worth telling, reach out to us. The show's not possible without all of you. So thank you guys as well for being part of that victory here. It's a big win for paintball. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
And the GOAT squad, dude, whole PTG community.
Well, it's definitely, again, that dude, this is not, we're not sitting here just singing some bullshit ass song. Like, this is actually how it is. Without the community, none of this happens. The people that actually care enough about paintball to give their money to it, their time, their efforts to be a part of these communities. And there's a lot there. I mean, there's, the world wants to make us weaker. Paintball makes us stronger. And that's why I'm such a huge believer in the gifts of the game and the prime movers. And we need to give as much credit as we possibly can to all those prime movers, so they can have as much power as they possibly can to move forward, to help crack things open to the world and make everyone care about this amazing thing that is the paintball community. So yeah, dude, Marcelo, keep that fire bright, my friend, because you've kept it bright for a while now, and I'm expecting big things from you in the future, because I know
just getting started.
Nice. Quinn, any last questions for Marcelo before we let him go?
No, man, I was just super happy, to have him a repeat winner here, and the level of impact he's making outside of the game to just spread the word to anyone and everyone who might care even a little bit about paintball. I'm just happy he was able to join us.
All right, Marcelo, you have the best night,
Thank
bro.
you, Quinn.
Can't wait to see you soon. So Quinn, coming up next here, lead us into our next guest and what they've done for their team this year and why they deserve to win the award that he has won.
See, up next, we have none other than Kevin Breathauer, Skinny Kevin, head coach of San Diego Dynasty. This was an interesting award here for Coach of the Year, because it's the only award I've ever had other nominees message me and say, Skinny Kevin better win the award. It was incredible. I mean, he was just the de facto choice of everybody as the Coach of the Year. He was a complete, uncontested first places across the board in every aspect. So, I mean, I love his style. It's so interesting and in a way refreshing, because it's so much different than how everybody else traditionally has coached. So I'm excited to get him in here and talk to him and hear a little more about his style.
Yeah, looks like Kevin is there. He is, Skinny Kevin Breathauer himself. Kevin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, and you?
Doing great, man.
Is it not
we're talking about paintball.
Good.
Yeah, you're live. No, we're talking about some paintball stuff. So life is good. We got a big year coming up. Obviously, you guys just came off a historic year. My first question to you is, and like Quinn was alluding to and discussing, all the people that you were up against were like, hey, Kevin needs to win this award. And this was another one of those where I looked at it and it took me about a half a second to decide who I needed to vote for. And it was you, obviously. There's a number of reasons for this. Obviously, again, just big, huge, obvious reason was that you guys won 3 of the 6 events. So just contained in this year, which is what we were voting for. It was obvious that with how competitive things are, that your team is doing as well as it is, you should be getting this award. But Dynasty is a notoriously hard team to coach. Why? Well, because you have the core of the team. Every one of those guys could be a coach in their own right. They've been around forever. They're very opinionated. You guys don't have a ton of money to throw at others, at like these other guys. So, there's always going to be like some young up and coming guys on the team. You have the hierarchy of the squad, who have been there for, 20 plus years now. And again, I used to always joke that I would literally pay $10 admission just to listen to Alex and Ryan and Oliver when he was there. And then whoever else, and Marcelo bicker, and then with Yosh as the voice of reason, and then we have you in the mix too. So it's this kind of like it's a cauldron of chaos upon which creativity can live, but only through power of will and conversation. And in that cauldron comes the plans and what you guys are working with to take to these tournaments. But I just, again, knowing the team intimately and what you have your hands full with, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, like you've just done such an amazing job. I mean, the results speak for themselves, but yeah, impressive. So that would be my question. How hard is it to coach San Diego Dynasty?
I mean, it's hard, but I don't think, I don't know. I've known him so long, I think it makes it a lot easier than somebody else. If someone else random tried to come coach the team, it would be really, really hard because there, like you said, there's tons of personalities on the team, and half of them are coaches for other teams, so they all think they know best. But yeah, I don't know. What do you mean I coach different, Quinn? Like, what does that mean?
I
Yeah,
guess in
Quinn.
the sense, a lot of coaches have came into Dynasty and been a little more kind of rah-rah over the years, I guess, and have tried to take that, chaos that Ryan, Alex, Yosh all kind of combine in head on, where you're kind of stepped in. And I kind of felt you took it over in a sense of like you came in, you said, I'm managing the lineups. These are the plays we're running. And I think that's interesting with that team because I think that was something that really honestly pushed them to become arguably the greatest team of all time now.
Well, I think like I mean, obviously, I mean, Rusty was the coach before me, and I think he did a good job too. But I just think it's hard to explain how to deal with all the personalities and make sure all of them are playing enough. And like, I don't know how many messages I get that from our own guys that are like, "I need to play more." Like, so they all have like this competitive drive, but it's also like, yeah, not everyone can play every point. Like, so it's just so like I kind of had adopted like a 2 out of 3 points for most of our guys, and that's kind of how it works. But it's not. It changes every event, so it's. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really hard.
I guess too.
Well,
I mean,
Like it, like
I've always
go
loved your
Quinn.
scouting style as well. I think, especially, I want you to talk a bit about your scouting style because I think that's something that can be very useful for other pro teams, divisional teams, kind of everyone in paintball.
Yeah, so like a long time ago, like people used maps and stuff like that, and I just don't do that because it's too slow. So like I developed my own system basically to figure out how to make it super efficient to like display all the information I need to, and then hand it to my guys so they can look at it too. So generally, if I just give them the information, they'll be like, "Okay, this is what we should do," and I already know that, but they need to know it too. So and then so I haven't really changed it for a while, but like this year, I have a bunch of other stuff I'm going to add to it. So like because I feel like I haven't really progressed that very much, and so I'm going to try a bunch of new stuff this year. So, and I actually get an assistant coach besides, I mean, Vic is our assistant coach and he helps me a great deal, but that's not with scouting stuff. So we're actually going to bring someone to help me this year.
Who is that going to be? Because this is news.
Junior Brown is going to help me with scouting, and he has some other jobs too, but like for me, that's the main one.
Yeah, no, dude, I love Junior Brown. We're talking about, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, he helped me some in Sacramento, obviously, because I was local. But yeah, this year he's like going to be at all of the events, so it should be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know they're a sponsor of you now. So Junior Brown, a player from England. Love Junior. I've known Junior since he was a teenager. And he's got a real good paintball mind. He's been around for, again, a long time. And I think he really could help you out. He's going to be a really good assistant coach for you. But how do you deal with again, so many people out there that are listening, they should be wondering, again, what is the secret to the win? How are these guys, again, at an advanced age, as long as they've been doing it? I mean, obviously incredibly talented, but Jesus Christ, like Dynasty just put up the best year that any team probably has ever had, considering all the variables, with 3 wins out of 6 events and the best, but not quite 2.5 seasons because, but going from the end of the COVID break, from 2020 World Cup until now, Dynasty has won 6 of 11 events. And so what's the secret of the win? And I always tell teams, I'm like, look, man, you have to be in a situation where you need to be listened to, but you also need to be argued with, because by default, if you have a bunch of charismatic individuals with strong wills get together and discuss something, then the best ideas will rise up. And that's Dynasty, you know, I mean, but you have to deal with that, you know? So it's like, what is the secret of the win for Dynasty when it comes to game plans and dealing, you know, because again, you having to deal with all these guys that, like you said, almost not every single one of them, but a lot of the top team or a lot of the top guys on your squad coach other teams, and they think like, okay, well, I'm coaching now, so I'm gonna know what's up. So how do you deal with that again, the cauldron of chaos of these personalities and all these different contingencies?
Well, I think I think it's to practice is super important because I let like everyone try everything first, and then they learn on their own. Like I'll use Blake as an example. Like Blake, it takes him a long time in practice to figure out what to do because he kind of screws up everything first until he gets better at it. Like so he'll make 20 mistakes, but he does it at practice. So, and that's how he learns. Like, and then there's other things like Yost, for example. I can't just tell him to play. Like, I have to show it to him. So you have to learn how the people learn or respond to you better than, and every single person's different. So that takes time. So I think being able to not teach, but like explain what we're doing to everyone in their own way is the way to do it. So, and that's hard when there's a lot of guys, and it's hard when you don't have time. So, like during the matches, like it's hard because the time is super limited.
Yeah, time is definitely super limited. No, well, I mean, a little bit. Look, the thing is like you're never going to be able to give everyone an ABC 1, 2, 3 explanation of how Dynasty has been so dominant. That's just not how things work. But if I was somebody coming up the ranks right now, especially somebody leading a team, and then you came on, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to listen to every single word that pours out of SK's mouth because there might be some sort of glimpse in there where I'm going to be able to dissect a bit of information to try to make us better. Because yeah, you guys are currently sitting at the top of the 20 pro teams. Behind that, you have a couple hundred other teams in the different divisions, and everyone's dream is to be where Dynasty is right now. You know, I mean, if you're dialed into the paintball landscape and the lifestyle, yeah, you want the glory that Dynasty has. So, I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you those questions. But like you said, there's no real specific way to do it. But that being said, as far as this season is concerned, you know, obviously, you guys lose Dalton, you pick up, you know, both Chris Shear and Harrison Fry. They play a similar position. So my question is, how do you handle playtime on Dynasty for people out there? I mean, we've talked about this and we've had this conversation a little bit before, but you know, how do you handle that? You know, because it's like you have, you know, Archie's going off, and then he didn't start out the year as the number one on the snake side, and that was like glaringly apparent. Oh, we got to let Archie be, you know, just do what he's doing so he can go win this award. That's not how it worked for you, you know. And then obviously you have this. It's an, you know, we use this term embarrassment of riches, but you guys aren't throwing tons of money at these dudes, but you do have an embarrassment of riches as far as talent. How do you handle playtime a little bit more definitively? I know you brought it up a little bit.
Why do you think we have an embarrassment of riches? Because like at the beginning of
talent,
2021
of talent?
No. At the beginning of 2021, no one picked us to win anything. So like I don't know what. Yeah.
If you have the core that you guys have with the talent you have on that team, like I mean, I still think that's an embarrassment of riches of talent. It's a ridiculous level of talent. You guys, you have a person in every position that's at an incredibly high level that every other team in the league would be stoked to have, even if you're not paying them. You know, first of all, you don't just, you have the core members, you know, like the 4 core members, but even the younger guys you pick up, like, okay, yeah, we haven't seen, like, Damien is an athletic phenom. We haven't seen Damien step up, you know, like, yeah, because he hasn't got any playing time practically because everyone else is getting playing time. But if you look at like Blake, I mean, Blake won an MVP, you know, so it's like, and then you have all these other different guys. It's like, yeah, from a talent perspective, in my estimation, you know, again, as far as an embarrassment of riches, it's like, Jesus Christ, you have a ton of talent. Like, you're not paying these dudes a ton of money to be there. But as far as like a team that anyone wants to play, I mean, look, you know, Harrison Fry, he has a job. You know, Chris Shear, that dude's a lawyer. You know, they're not coming to Dynasty because they want your paycheck. They're coming to Dynasty because they want to have a chance to be on San Diego Dynasty and to win championships. You know, so you guys have this ability to attract talent. I'm giving you a mad amount of respect here, you know, like it's not anything, and we can argue about this, but I just think that the talent on your team, look what happened. You guys won 6 of 11 events, you know, I mean, 5 of 10 if we take out World Cup 2020, if we're starting at 2021.
I mean,
it's a badass team.
Yeah, I guess so.
A badass team.
I guess, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think you just have to put those players in the best spot. Like, that's all it is. So, like, people like Yosh and Alex didn't play a lot until, like, the beginning of 2021. And then, like you said, Alex won an MVP too. Like, I don't think he even expected that. He literally says, "Thanks for letting me play." Like, so, I mean, I think it's pretty funny. Like, so, and he's like, he always tells me, he's like, "Let me know when I need to hang him up." And I was like, "I will, but not yet." So,
not yet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's just, I think that, I don't mean it. It's more, when I'm talking about something like this, and again, this is just a nod to your ability to control these personalities, because that's what a leader has to do. I don't care what you're doing. If you're running a business or you have whatever team you have, whether it's a team from a business perspective or an athletic perspective, it gets harder for the leader when you have a very high level of talent within your ranks, because that high level of talent needs to be heard. And not only do they need to be heard, like you said, you're going to get texts being like, "Hey, can I get some playing time?" Because they want to have a chance to prove themselves. And that's where the difficulty, this is why you won this award. This is why all of your peers, again, not just, let's just take obviously the wins, but it's like having to orchestrate, you know, Joey Blue, you know, I talked to Joey this last weekend and he's used this metaphor before, and I think it's a great metaphor, but it's the metaphor of a chef. If you don't know what you're doing in the kitchen, you could literally have like Wagyu beef and some of the freshest rosemary that the earth has ever seen and some Himalayan salt. And again, just, you know, pick like whatever fine level of ingredients you want to have, some like gourmet grass-fed butter. But if you don't know what you're doing, what temperature you're supposed to cook that meat at, how long you're supposed to cook it for, in what dosage you're supposed to give those herbs, how much salt you're supposed to put on it, even a simple dish, you will completely ruin it if you don't know what you're doing. And with the paintball team, it's a complex thing. So it's not, you know, it's way more complex than cooking a steak, you know, making some mashed potatoes. So if you're a pro paintball coach, you are a chef, you have certain ingredients. What can you do with those ingredients? And the problem is those ingredients talk back. You know, so it's not like just something.
Yes.
It's not, the ingredients aren't just, they're not just sitting there on the plate waiting for you to mix them up. They're screaming, hey, more of me. Like salt's like, "Hey, dude, you need to put some more of me in there." And then the rosemary is like, "Nah, dude, you already put way more salt on than you need to. You're crazy. I'm this is what you need to put a little bit of me on there." You know, anyway, so that's, I just think it's kind of an interesting scenario. And I just have to give you a ton of credit. I've been watching Dynasty Coached, you know, forever. And you've done as good of a job or better than anyone that's ever been given the reins of this team, SK. So you deserve every bit of this credit that you've been given. And I'm so happy that you won this award. Quinn, you got any last questions for SK before we let him go?
No, man, I was happy to have him on, and I love his coaching style, and I'm excited to see what he does this year and if they can complete the epic 4-time repeat at World Cup.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Kevin, you got anything for us before we let you go?
No, I just want to thank Vic for helping me out at all events, because I think he's like, every good team has one of those guys, and he's just underappreciated. So, yeah, that's it.
Hey, well, dude, again, please keep doing what you're doing. It's been you're just the maestro behind the scenes. You're orchestrating all of these, you know, incredible instruments to do their thing. And they're like Stradivarius guitar or violins out there, you know, so it's pretty impressive what you've been able to do. So please keep doing it, because it makes my job easier. It's fun to tell the story of San Diego Dynasty.
Well, thank you, and I'll try. I'll do it in Europe too. So I'm going to do that again this year. So,
all right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. Let's hang out. Let's drink some beers soon. I miss you. So Quinn, as we say goodbye to SK, what do we got coming up next? These are some interesting awards here. I'm pretty excited about what we got coming up next. Show's running along. We knew it was going to. We just have so many of the best and the brightest in our sport right here, so it's kind of hard to shoehorn them into a certain amount of time because they have very good things to say. And I think it's a benefit to all the paintball fans out there to listen to those things they have to say. But what do we got coming up next?
Yeah, so the back end of the show here, we're kind of diving in a bit more to the off-field categories. These are some of the most creative individuals in the sport that, you know, represent complete excellence within their field. The first one we're going to kick it off with is Sam Bennett from All In Media. He won Photographer of the Year for the absolutely incredible work he did, not only throughout the year, but especially so at World Cup. You know, shooting that epic finals match with Oliver Lang. So I'm super excited to talk to him about his process and kind of why he does what he does.
All right, let's bring Sam in. And as we bring Sam in, Sam, how you doing, bud? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, man, I couldn't be better. We're talking about some paintball. I mean, San Diego's paradise. I love my job. Everything is golden, man. So I'm stoked to pick your brain a little bit here. Yeah. Rocking a headband right now, feeling the flow a little bit with the
I don't have shirt
vibe we got going on tonight. Sam, how did the Hormesis not hook you up? Did you not get the creator package that they sent out recently, or what?
No, I don't.
We need to get you on the list.
Get things like that. No, I just decided I wanted to wear something.
So Quinn, as we start to pick Sam's brain a little bit here, break down how the voting went for this and how it all kind of shook down, you know, and again, just with your concepts, you know, as a maven of the sport, somebody that kind of keeps their finger on the pulse of things. And when it comes to, you know, and behind the scenes is interesting too, because, you know, the photographers have been, you know, we talk about prime movers, and the prime movers in consuming a story for the people at home has been for, you know, since the inception of the sport, the photographers, because paintball is such a visual thing. So capturing what's happening out there on the field is so important and so crucial. But talk about this category a little bit before we start picking Sam's brain.
Yeah, so Photographer of the Year was a pretty tense category. I mean, I don't think it's hard to argue that there's been quite a renaissance within photography in the game. I mean, some incredible work from incredible individuals has been coming out the last few years. In terms of the community vote, interestingly enough, the largest percentage win of any vote was actually Sam with Photographer of the Year. He commanded a 41% overall in the vote. And interestingly enough as well, photographer was actually the most voted on category across all 20 categories that we had done. So you know, first, congrats, Sam, on that. I mean,
Thank you.
That's pretty much a bona fide blessing from
Landslide
the community
victory.
that you're, you know, the best
awesome.
in class. But, you know, Sam, I kind of want to know what goes into your process. Like you seem to, every time I see your work, you seem to constantly develop and kind of do new and interesting things with it. I mean, what kind of goes into the passion and the process for you in your photography?
It's hard to kind of answer that properly because there's a lot. I'm always finicking with how the picture looks. Every event is kind of different depending on lighting and stuff like that. So I'm always adjusting everything. And in some events, obviously things come out better, and some they come out a bit worse. But typically it's all just figuring it out as it goes. I have an idea of the base I want it to look like, and then some pictures like, man, this is a great picture. Would look better if it looked a bit more dramatic, and I'll lower the darkness a little bit and stuff like that. And everything is really figuring it out at the moment of what looks best at that time to me. And I usually, sorry, my dog's playing with me. For me, I try not to let outsiders influence my thoughts. It's like some people might say, oh, that picture doesn't look good like that. But for me, it looks good to me. And that's where I like to stand, is it looks good to me and I like it that way. So I think it's really helped me develop the style a little bit over the years.
Sam, what's your motivation to create this style and to do, because it's hard work to be a photographer. It's okay if you're a player. Yes, it's hard work to become and hone your skills to be a player. But the players go out on an NXL event and they play 2 games a day. The refs are out there all day. We're out there all day. You guys are out there all day. You know, and there's not a ton of glory necessarily. Now, yes, you are getting your just due glory right now, and I'm glad that we have you on here. But this was not assured for you when you started your journey. So what's the motivation for you here to try to, you know, put up some, you know, to put some images in the banks that make people care, that are emotive enough, contain enough information that make people give a shit about this beautiful sport that we love so much?
Honestly, a big part of it is kind of just the sport in general. I think the sport's beautiful as it is. I like it more than anything else. The unpredictability of it is just, to me, just blows everything else out of the water. And alongside it's also the other people I was nominated with, right? And every other photographer in the sport, every single one is working to improve, to be better than the next person. So I'm just working to stay ahead of as many people as I can. And I mean, everyone has their personal opinions. I feel like I'm doing well, but obviously, like Fava is tough. Like Rob, he's blown up recently, and just as things have gone by, the fight to stay ahead has pushed me to work harder to continue to stay ahead.
And as far as that fight is concerned, I mean, how do you kind of work it too? I mean, for people that don't understand how the mechanics behind the scenes work, I mean, how do you decide who to shoot? You get hired by certain people, certain teams captivate you. I mean, where is the kind of conduit for the attention for you?
It's a little bit of both. I do have people that I like shooting, like Dynasty is one of them. This being the Dynasty show tonight so far. Dynasty is one of the teams I like to shoot because as far as athleticism goes, they're it. Like everyone's really good, but you don't really see people their age playing like they are. And so I always like to capture that and try to capture the emotion behind them, because they still, even having won for this many years, they still have all the emotion of if it's their first time. So I'm usually looking for the team that has the most to lose, and then when they win, I can get that emotion better.
Do you have any favorite moments that you saw this year that you captured? Anything that kind of stood out to you? It doesn't have to be one; it could be a couple. I mean, what were the high water marks for you out there in 2022?
My favorite moment was Damage winning. I live in Florida. Damage is my local pro. There's a few obviously now with like Russians, ML Kings, but Damage was like the first pro team I really started working with, and them winning, 10 years. It was a great moment, especially how they won in such a dramatic fashion. I loved it. And then as well as, I think me and Enrique were like the only two on that side, because in theory, everyone expected Impact to win. So everyone was on Impact side trying to get their pictures winning, but I was on Damage's side because I support everyone, but I support Damage at that time.
Yeah, you're a Tampa guy.
Tampa guy, exactly. So being on that side and being able to capture their emotion and the raw emotion, because again, 10 years, a long time not to win. So being able to capture all that was 100% my highlight.
Yeah, again, man, it's just so important that we have people like you out there doing that job. It's again a little bit of a thankless job too. I mean, talk to me about the difficulties of because in order to take a good picture, you have to read the future a little bit. I wrote an intro to some of the legendary photographers in the game. Chris Diltz was one of them. Chris Diltz from Paint Magazine, and we did this famous book, and he asked me to write this intro and to the Lost Rolls, which was his section of the book. Oh, you got it in the background? Hell yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Right there.
But in that intro, it was trying to kind of after having talked to all these guys over the years, you have to, I mean, again, this is a long conversation, but you have to read the future a bit. You have to be able to look at a game and know it. You have to know the personalities, who's going to react a certain way, who's going to make a move at a certain time. So it's like and then how's the game going to develop? So, and all of these things are living in your mind at the same time. So you can put yourself in a position where you capture the moment that transcends and defines that specific game. And then you have to know your subjects well enough that you need to put yourself in a position to celebrate the emotion that they're going to have pour out, from the conclusion of that moment, whether it be a loss or a win. And then, so there's a lot to it. And you almost have to be this, you got to read the tea leaves a little bit here. You got to be able to be, someone that can tell the future. Talk to me about the art of capturing those moments, stealing souls, as they used to say.
You kind of covered it, honestly. It's all about kind of reading the future, and really after enough time, I've been shooting on the pro field at least for 3-4 years now. And in that time, I've learned, everyone that's on there, it's been there for a while. I've learned their, I'm trying to think of the proper word here, tendencies. So like, I know Blake is going to stab the guy the second he hears go stab him. I know that Harrison Fry is going to, he's going to run down and do something crazy. Things like that. Like you kind of pick up on people's tendencies, and you realize I should be over here, not there. And that's, I mean, as everything else, you already said it, but that's really the biggest one is knowing what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it. And Oliver Lang, this over here, over World Cup, kind of the same thing. You know he's gonna stab the guy when he has the chance. You know he's gonna go for 2 more. So you just kind of have to pay attention to what they're doing, not just the game, but to the people. If you're shooting for a company, then and you're shooting, say, HK, and you're shooting an HK team, you got to learn the people that are on the HK team because you're trying to get the best photo work for them. And that's kind of how I learned was working for a couple companies. I've been able to really build a relationship with these guys. And even sometimes it's just as simple as saying, hey, Marcelo, where are you going?
Yeah, that's awesome. So Sam, before we let you go, we're going to get Brian Wolf, aka Verbal, in here next before we head to our last 3 guests. But the last question I would have for you is, because this is such an integral part to the sport, if you had any advice to the people coming up that, you know, maybe they're looking at this and like, man, I love this game so much, and the better route for me to have a really fun time out here, maybe make a little bit of money or like have an impact, is to be a photographer. You know, what would your advice be to that?
I mean, there's a couple things. I would probably say, first thing, don't be in the way, but don't be scared to get the shot, right? You don't want to block someone from going out, but maybe stand a little bit back and get them going out, stuff like that. Don't be afraid to get the shot, and don't put your camera down. That's one thing. I do a lot of celebration pictures because those are my favorite. I love the emotion in them. And after the game's over, a lot of people, they'll put their camera down. Action's done. Just keep your camera up there and just keep shooting. You never know what moment you're going to get in that time. And don't delete anything until you're sure it's not a usable picture.
Love that. No, I mean, some of the most iconic photos we've ever seen are either, you know, guys getting ready for a game with that 1,000-yard stare, or what happens afterwards. Massive celebratory moment where your life is completed, you know, at least from your, you know, from the paintball side of things, where some big cataclysmic moment happens, and you get to have that pure joy just flood out of you, or you are completely destroyed emotionally and you have to, you know, I mean, I remember I went to Damage's pit after they lost World Cup, and they really thought they were going to win that game. They thought it was going to be their moment, but Dynasty, you know, beat the brakes off of them, and it wasn't even close. So, you know, they had to kind of deal with that loss. And I'm sure you saw that same thing out of them in that moment, because you were there for that too, you know? So, but those, again, the emotion, exclamation points of what happens in those crazy moments, like those are, yes, what happens on the field is important, but those are huge moments too. So Sam, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate everything that you've done for this sport, and congratulations on this win. Looks like a landslide victory for you too. So you got to be doing something right, brother. You got a huge following on Instagram. I was looking at your stuff today, and, you know, I've seen some of the photos that you've done, but we need people like you. You know, we really do. So and we are back. Apologize for the technical difficulties here. We got, you know, 10 guests, 2 hosts here, getting a little crazy, but we're back. So Quinn, looks like we still have a few more guests to go here, hoping to get Brian Wolf and Verbal coming on next, and then Rob, Jen and Mike. But yeah, it's been a fun show. Lots of insights in here, as rightfully so, when you're going to have the best and the brightest. So it looks like we're going to try to jump in here with Verbal. And as we jump in with Brian, any thoughts on what we've seen so far here, Quinn?
Yeah, I think it's been a great show. Always love to hear the feedback throughout and kind of get the insights from everybody. I'm especially excited to hear from Verbal here. I mean, this is a guy who has really kind of changed the way video has been shot. I mean, he's a technical master of his equipment in his own right, and he's kind of bringing video in a new and exciting way that I think is going to be important for the development of the media side of the sport.
No, I definitely agree. And there he is. Of course, his set just looks impeccable. Brian Wolf, aka Verbal. The lighting is awesome. Your background is blown out, just blurred perfectly, looking as epic as we thought it would. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. Thank you, guys.
Oh, and the voices is just super juicy too. It's perfect. So yeah, let's jump into it, man. Let's just start off with this. Look, obviously we know how important what you guys do is on the back end, right? It's like, I say this all the time. Nobody cares at all about anything until you make them care. Photographers and videographers and storytellers, those are the people that push content into the world to make people care. So my first question, I know we don't have you all night, we can't have like an hour and a half long discussion about this, but I'm just interested because you seem to just love this game of paintball. You've captured it very well and are getting a lot of kudos for the work you've been doing. Like, where's your motivation? Where did this come from? Like, why do you love this sport as much as we do?
I mean, so I started, many years ago and, looking at magazines and all that kind of stuff. And I just love sports in general. But paintball, I don't know, holds a very special place in my heart. And I realized it was something I could do. And I just get out there and shoot as much as I can and try to make the best stuff that I can.
So Quinn, talk to us a little bit about this specific category here. Obviously videographer, but how did the voting go down on this one? Because, with Sam, I mean, photography is incredibly important and there is a spillover between videography and photography, but I'm sure that as Verbal would, you kind of got to commit, man. You can't really do both. People may look out there like, oh, what's the difference, right? Like, what's the difference between photography and videography? I'm like, there's a huge difference. So Quinn, to kind of break this down a little bit, how the voting went and the other nominees in this category, and then Verbal, I want to throw it your way a little bit and ask why you committed to the videography side of things instead of photography.
Yeah, so voting in the video category was actually incredibly tight, and I mean, rightfully so. There were some big time names in this category. I mean, you have kind of the all-time legend sort of name in David Quitman. Danny Lincoln from HK was involved, Enrique, CJ, all rightfully in their own skill sets, incredible at what they do. But ultimately, it seemed kind of as the week went on in voting, Verb kind of continued to inch forward and slowly pull away to the point that he ended up winning by about 150 votes, which, is still a slim margin, but, he kind of, in my mind, represented what was, absolute excellence in videography, and the community agreed on that.
Yeah, so I think that it does make sense that the videographer vote was close because it's almost like a front player, mid player, back player conversation. I feel like the videographers are the front players for the media side of things because, that content, it's captivating. And when you get a good reel, you get a good hit on something, it's that, when we talk about giving people a reason to care, a well done slow-mo shot, a moment that's captured from an angle that's both, that captures the emotion of something, but also the visual acuity of that collision. Like, that's special right there. That's where the art comes in, So, but again, I just, looking at how, yes, photography is incredibly important, but the videographers and the way things have gone down in the past, 15, 20 years have, really stolen the show a little bit here. So Verb, what do you think, man? I mean, what's the difference between that? Why did you choose to go towards one or the other? And where is the delineation there?
Well, all the social media platforms will pay for videos, but they don't really pay for photos. So that was kind of a big motivator for me. So like this last year, the first event, I did photos at the first Florida event for the Saints. And I was kind of sad about that because man, I went to a practice at X Factor, and just that amount of knowledge transfer from like the big impact guys to some of the other Saints players, it was incredible. Like we could have had a whole class just from that. Um, so I was doing videos made from only photos for like all last year. I did that, and that was just an insane amount of work. You didn't have audio, so to capture more of the whole story, I made the move to full-time video.
And I mean, kind of walk me through that a little bit. Let's flesh that out. You know, what does that mean to you, collecting the whole story? I mean, walk me through that a little bit.
Well, like, so like from an event, I would get like one photo that'd be like, oh, this is a glorious photo. But like doing video, you get so much more. You can, in a sense, capture more emotion. You can hear the people, you can see what they're saying and all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of where I went with it.
Yeah, and then so obviously there's a work component to this too. We talked about with when we had Marcelo on, you have professional paintball players and you have paintball professionals, and that's every sport. And if you look at the army of media that covers a regular sport, it is crucially important to have as much media from a paintball perspective as we can bring to bear, which will make sense for the people doing it, make sense for the people that are the subjects being captured, and make sense for the institution that is kind of, guiding the ship and setting it all up to make all of these different things happen. And it is, that's a wild ride. So, and that's something that everyone has to navigate. Verb, do you have any advice for somebody trying to wade into those waters coming up the ranks right now? I mean, because it's, there is no clear path necessarily here, or what's like, again, like the ABCs of it. It's like the similar thing with, I was talking to Ryan Greenspan or, the top dynasty guys, like, okay, yeah, they won 3 of 6 events this year. They're obviously the best team. They're winning all these awards, and rightfully so. But what is the secret of the win? It's okay. What is the secret of the artistic capture? And then commodifying that in a way that makes sense for everyone involved. Well, that's a Byzantine labyrinth. That's not, this super easy thing. You just go Google and they're going to be like, oh, here's exactly what you can't ask chat to break this down for you. So you are the chat for this one, break it down for us.
Right. Well, practice. That's the thing. Like, I'm super lucky. I have paintball fit out here, and I go there like 4 times a week, most weeks. Like there's 2 night balls on Wednesday and Friday, and then on the weekend. So I just go out there and I just shoot and just get as much practice as I can in. You have to know your camera inside and out. So usually, we have like rain covers. Some of us do. We'll have rain covers on our cameras. And I knew where every button was without even, I could do it within the cover. I didn't have to look. So being like super familiar with your gear, and, you just keep practicing like with anything else, kind of, you just put in the time.
No, that totally makes sense. But how quick do you have to be on the draw? It's funny because a lot of people think that the paintball players need to be quick on the draw. And of course you do. But you also got to be quick on the draw as a videographer or a photographer, because you never really know when that magical moment's going to go down. I mean, when when Boyum went toe to toe with Justin Cornell, my first question was who got the best angle of that. But that's kind of a tough one, because that went down at the end of a point. You never really know where. This is what's another thing that's frustrating as the people doing what we do when you're covering paintball, because there is no one ball. There's no one focus of attention. Both teams are playing offense and defense at the same time. When the scramble sets in, and we call it the scramble because it is so chaotic that you have no idea what's going to happen. Everything gets scrambled up, and then we're just calling it as we see it. And but as a photographer, as a videographer, you really need to keep your wits about you and be quick on the draw to capture those magical moments. So talk me through when things are devolving in a big point in a big game. You're on the field. and you got to get that perfect moment and the angle on it. It's one thing to be at the moment, and to understand it's about to go down, but to have that charismatic, beautiful, artistic angle where it's going to be best, captured from.
That's the thing, because, half the time you're on the wrong side of the field for the best shot. And sure, you can still shoot across and get something from it, but it's out the gate, it's a 50% chance. And you mentioned the JC and Boyum incident. Like, I almost didn't capture that one, but I saw it going down, and I just saw the paint flying over the top of the brick, and I was like, wait, there's still paint flying up. So I just ran over there and, pointed the camera and was still able to. I thought I was going to miss that whole shot, but they just kept going. So luckily, I was able to scoot over there and be able to capture something. So I don't know, you just kind of have to predict. Like, you can tell when a player is about to go. It's like it all goes back to the practice. Like, you just study the game and try to learn tendencies, and it doesn't even have to be from the same player. Just kind of how people play paintball and like when they're going to go. Yeah.
One of my last questions here, because we got, again, we have a huge show tonight. So many of these legends in our game, but do you have a favorite team? I mean, who's the most emotive out there? I feel like for me, it makes my job easier with all this AC Diesel stuff going on in the off season. And anytime there's a crazy off season and I start the year with a bunch of crazy stories to tell, like, yeah, I got to redo a bunch of content and I got to, get in the lab and cut some new voiceover and do a bunch of work, but it makes it a pleasure to do it because it makes the story captivating. So who's the most captivating team for you to follow? Or, I mean, you could throw out players, teams, names, but I got to put you on the spot a little bit. I feel like, yeah, of course everyone's trying to be agnostic when it comes to that, but everyone's got to have some favorites because it makes your job easier, right?
Right. Well, so mine wouldn't even be a pro team. It would be Paintball Fit. Because I'm with those guys all the time. I think they're hilarious, and we need to get some more behind the scenes content from those guys, because there's some gold there.
Yeah, awesome. Quinn, you got anything for Verb before we let him go?
Yeah, I mean, in a season of 2022 where you were producing just, incredible stuff all year long, do you kind of have one moment you captured on video that stands out to you as that, that dreamy moment that you were just, ecstatic to capture?
Man, that's tough. I caught some pretty darn cool moments. I think my favorite one was the 1v1 with Sloviak and Archie. And Sloviak ended up getting him. Like, they were just battling for a long time, and then Nick just snuck one in on him. I think that was one of the coolest shots I got this year, and yeah, that's one that I will not forget.
And my last question for you: what are you looking forward to most in 2023?
Oh man, I'm so ready for this season. It's going to be awesome. We had crazy moves. I just, like, for myself, I just want to make some longer form content so that everyone can, maybe get some behind the scenes stuff. I did the whole Ollie series and just kind of threw it all together. I just wanted to get it out there because I knew everyone would be so excited to see Oliver. But that really sparked me to try to get some off the field stuff and, get more people hanging out, and so people can have that look behind the scenes.
Drama drives viewing decisions, and the more that you can bring authentic drama to light, the more that people actually care and they're going to want to watch. So again, this is just one of the reasons why I always have to give credit to the creators, because the creators are the people giving us a reason to tune in. And that is the most important thing. When everyone's like, hashtag grow the game this, and we got to do this to grow paintball, I'm like, all right, well, why don't you go grab a camera and go start telling some stories or start a business? Or, I mean, because it's one thing to just pipe on about it from the internet, but people like you are actually in the trenches and in the rain and in the heat behind the scenes dealing with all these people. So yeah, I mean, and if you, Brian, if you think that, the Paintball Fit guys need a show, then give us a show, bro. Like, you got all the access. Let's see it. Let's see it. I want to watch it. I'm down. I think they're in the paintball mecca right now. They got the night ball, the beautiful lights.
Yep.
They got, they got the gunfighters of Texas down there. So I would love to watch that. Please Please guide my attention, my friend. That's all I'm at. That's all what I'm always asking our creators. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And appreciate all the efforts that you put in. So Quinn, who we got coming up next here as we're going to let Verb go, and props to you, man. You deserve everything you got. We need you. We need more of you. So I think we're having, we got Rob coming up next, right?
Yeah, Rob Bertuglia, the team owner of New York Wrecking Crew, for their win of Divisional Team of the Year.
Yeah, so we're going to bring Rob in here. This one was interesting. So to me, Divisional Team of the Year, you know, I was like, wow, this is one I had to think about. I did not vote for the Wrecking Crew. I have not made my votes, you know, public. Rob, welcome to the show. Congratulations. You guys won the first 2 events, right?
3.
I got it correct?
Who's counting?
So you guys were 3. You won the first 3 events. And then, but you know, when we put it out there to the world, you guys are getting so people tuning in, they may be Ryan Greenspan Dynasty fans watching all this stuff, or you know, for whatever reason. But now we have this Divisional Team of the Year. Give me your elevator pitch as to why in 2023 we need to have our eyes on the New York Wrecking Crew.
We're expecting a tough year moving from D3 to D2, going to 15-minute matches. Those 3 extra minutes, as you know, and a five-point mercy rule is going to be a little tough for the kids to get accustomed to. The average age of the team last year was 19 years old. I think we won 25 matches and lost 2 all year, and those were at World Cup, unfortunately. So the kids had a great year, but we surrounded ourselves with it starts off with our coach, our daily coach, Louis Castanova. He's our coach, everyday coach. And also we have Marcelo coming in and heading things up and putting us on the right track, both on the field and off the field. He's taught us a lot, and he taught us how to win. And it took 3 years of building this team and this organization, and the kids have just responded tremendously for them. So we're just hoping to make it into Sunday for this first event. That's our goal this year, moving into D2.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's always a good goal to start. Step 1, hey, let's just make it to Sunday. But with, you know, I'm very good friends with Marcelo. I talk with him often, and he has very good things to say about the work ethic and what you guys have been doing over there. Quinn, this is a kind of an interesting category because there are so many division teams out there, and it is incredibly difficult to win a divisional tournament. You know, look, we obviously are putting a lot of our efforts into, you know, to covering. We got pro, we got semi-pro, we got WNXL, but on the back end of anything, that long tail, as people like to say in the business side of things, the long tail is hundreds of divisional teams across all these regional series. And then you got the tip of the spear, which is the NXL, and anyone that can prevail in a divisional event is incredibly impressive. So let's just kind of like set the stage a little bit here for this award, because this is a big thing. You know, it's very difficult to prevail and be at that top end, the elite end of any divisional series.
We also won our regional series. We also won our regional series back over at OPS in Connecticut. So, like I said, it was regional and national, and it was a tough year. And throughout the year, we only had those 2 losses. And again, we're trying to enjoy this moment, this award that you guys gave us. But after tonight, it's what have we done lately? And that's what we're going to concentrate on for 2023.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's honestly a big reason why you've won this award. I think that your kind of style and what you've been instilling in the kids, you know, that you brought on is really kind of permeating through divisional paintball now. I mean, obviously teams have always taken divisional paintball seriously, but you guys have kind of taken it to another level where you're essentially you were running a Division III team as if it was a professional organization, which you don't see that often outside of the semi-pro division. I mean, even when you talk about this award, I mean, you guys had some serious competition. I mean, Austin Notorious just won a pro spot. Last Camp won multiple events and was dominant all year. And I mean, even with the voting, it was truly wild with this. This was literally something that came down to like the final minute of the voting windows. This entire category was decided by a mere 7 total points overall between the top 3 teams that were getting votes for it, which was, you know, it was wild to watch the behind the scenes of the votes as they occurred. But I think what I wanted to point out kind of before we jumped in is I did a ton of research for this stat across top divisional teams we've seen since the NXL's inception in 2015. No team in history and division has put up a better single season match record or game record than you guys were able to do. Out of 133 points you guys played this year, you won 103 of them, which is just absolutely insane. I mean, the amount of mercy.
You want to change your
guys
vote now,
put up.
Maddie? You want to change your vote?
Well, Rob, here's how I looked at it. You know, I always try to shoot it as straight as possible, and I didn't get to see you guys a lot, and I can only vote on what I've seen.
I get it.
And Notorious started off the year terrible, and I knew those guys well, and I got to see a lot of that. And then so the fact that they were able to steal the pro spot away from both Paintball Fit and Blast Camp at the very end by 2 points at World Cup, to me, they got my vote, because they're the tip of the spear when it comes to divisional teams. Again, no disrespect at all. No disrespect. And again, I hear the best. I hear the best of things. I'm very, very, very good friends with Marcelo. We talk about everything, and he, has spoken incredibly highly about the work ethic and what you guys have put in. So I'm not just saying that because you're on here. This is that's my thoughts. That's what he told me. And that's how I went down. And I was like, okay, well, I got to give it to Notorious, but I'm always, I have to put a lot of attention towards, what we're doing at the, tippy top, but I have to keep my ear to the floor to understand, all right, well, who's coming up next? You guys are up next. And as anytime I have a chance to talk to anyone that's up next, I always tell them, especially the leaders of the people that are in charge of of making sure that like you said, you got a lot of young guys, right? And young dudes burn out.
Yes.
And that's just kind of one of those things, where it's like when real life kind of sets in, you said you got an incredibly young crew, it's like, well, I'm happy again, because I've heard good things about you, that they have a leader that's going to help them, not only move into manhood and adulthood with some leadership, but move into like the more top tier of paintball, and have a good look. But Jesus Christ, when you look at the stats, like I can see why you won the award, so, I just have to go off of what I see. I'm only one vote, but man, that is a ridiculous statistic, and, no pressure, but we're expecting a lot of big things out of you guys. It's a great name too, New York Wrecking Crew. And I've spent a lot of time in the New York area, and I got a lot of friends up in that area. So Rob, my question to you is, what is the future? I mean, do you want to have a pro team? Like what is,
absolutely,
paint me this 2 years, 3 years from now, what happens for New York Wrecking Crew?
Our off-season discussion this year was, do we jump to semi-pro or go to D2? And I told the team, I will not be part of the team if we go to semi-pro. I think that will just destroy the winning attitude that we had going from D3. So let's take it one step at a time. Let's do D2. 100%. Let's win D2 and move to semi-pro and take the steps in those orders, just like a business decision. And that's what I was trying to duplicate in paintball. These kids work so hard. Half the team flies in from Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Ohio. We have guys in Pennsylvania. They're all over the place now. So they come in, they're landing in New York like 11 o'clock at night, getting 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep. We're in our van. We have a team van, and we're at the field at 7 o'clock, blowing up the fields on our own and playing before anyone even wakes up in the morning. So the dedication is there for these. I think that's what made them who they were this year. So again, looking into this year, D2, try to win D2 and move on to semi-pro. And eventually, yes, a pro spot. I'd like to have the Brooklyn Bears, us, and New York Extreme, 3 New York teams in a pro spot.
Well, it's cool to see this renewed vigor from the Northeast, because the Northeast has always been a hotbed of paintball. You had Florida, you had California, you had Texas, you had the Midwest, and you had the Pacific Northwest. And historically, in the 30-something years I've been in the game, we always had competitive teams out of the Northeast. There was a bit of a dip maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago with competitive teams out of the Northeast. And the fact that, you know, now we have what we have in this current moment moving forward, I'm incredibly excited for you guys. And also just, and I got to be honest, you know, again, I'm kind of flagrantly honest with my biases, but I'm always biased towards the Northeast teams because the Northeast teams are so fun. Growing up, like, those were the fun teams to play against. They were always getting in fights with each other or trying to fight us, but, you know, in the best way possible. It was just, they wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're just, it just added this huge spark to the sport. And it was there in 10-man when I was at the last of this past weekend when I was in Florida. It was so fun to see a lot of the, you know, Northeast teams there, and it was awesome. So I'm really happy that, again, you know, like I said, Rob, you know, I know a lot of people behind the scenes. I hear really good things about you and the crew. So we're all expecting big things, and I'm excited to see what happens for you guys, man. So I think that was kind of the last question real quick, as we are giving you your just respect, but, you know, because a lot of the people that consume the information that we put out there, I mean, there's only, you know, so many pro teams and semi-pro players out there. So a lot of people that are watching this are guys that are in your position. And if they're playing for people like you or guys that maybe potentially want to start a winning squad, like, what's your secret? I mean, the record that Quinn just broke down is insane. What is the winning secret? Obviously, you got Marcelo as your coach, so that's a step in the right direction. You can't find a better coach. But other than that, what's the secret to that, you know, to the success that you guys have put up here in the divisional brackets?
I'll make a long story short. When I started in paintball, it was with my son, obviously. He became 19 years old, girls, cars, he dropped out. I wouldn't leave the team alone. I stayed with them, and I'm not a coach. So the first thing I did was get a full-time coach. That's our coach, Lou, who's done a great job over the last 3.5, 4 years. And then from there, it was how to train Lewis to the level I needed. It's like a business decision. You surround yourself with the best possible people because you can't possibly do it all. And I took that business fundamentals and brought them into paintball. Went to the paintball fields. They're starting at 10:30 in the morning. Why are you starting at 10:30 in the morning? Why aren't we here at 7 o'clock? And we would stay till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would shoot 60 to 80 cases on the weekend. And Marcelo taught us how to drill the proper way, not just shooting paint. So for me, it's structure. And again, we do want to be a pro team eventually, and I'm giving the team that vehicle to get there.
Well, Rob, thank you so much. You're a paintball patron. And I always throw that out to the world. I'm like, hey, if you're listening and you're a man of means or a person of means and you want to have like a really cool experience in your life, well, you might want to start a competitive paintball team. Could you, I guess I got to just hit a pause. I know we're trying to move on. We got a big show tonight. But Rob, do you have any messages for potential paintball patrons out there? As a paintball patron, somebody that's controlling things behind the scenes and trying to lead this charge, like, what is paintball given to you in your life? You know, when you, as somebody, try to put all this craziness together, spend money on this, you know, with all the stress.
Again, I did this for my son. He dropped out and just became embedded in me, the family unit that we've developed over the years with these players. And I didn't want to leave that. And I'm retired now, so it gives me something to do on the side note of that. So for me, it's structure. And I keep saying that. And doing the same thing over and over the wrong way isn't the way to do it, right? So again, I don't have the answer, just structure and going forward with definitive goals that are realistic.
Well, Rob, God bless you. I wish we had a dozen more of
Thanks,
you,
man.
because the sport
you.
would be better off for it. So keep fighting your fight,
Thank
and we're
you.
expecting to see you up in the in the top ranks here, as things have obviously gone very well for you guys. Quinn, just a few more guests to go here. We got the Iconic Awards going down. It's been a fun show so far, giving credit to all these prime movers out here in the paintball world. Who do we got coming up next?
So next we're going to bring in Mike Bianca, the head coach of the New Orleans Hurricanes. They had won the vote for the Breakout Team of the Year after, you know, arguably one of the best rookie seasons we've seen since the NXL's inception. Mike was also in the Coach of the Year vote. He ended up placing second in that, which, you know, as a rookie head coach, I think is a great honor as well. So excited to get him in here. I read his blog all the time. If you haven't checked it out, Zen in the Art of Paintball, Mike goes into some deep dives on his team throughout the season and kind of gives you a live look behind the scenes. So Let's get him in here and chat.
Yeah, let's get Mike in here. They were 14th at their first event, but they won their first game. Then they went 6th in Texas. We're currently doing defining moments right now. So we're Mike, I'm hard at work trying to do due diligence and justice to your story. After that, a 13th, didn't make the event in Cali, but then a 5th and a 14th. But Jesus Christ, Mike Bianca, yeah, man. We talk about respect and just due in the sport when people do well, and you deserve a lot of respect. You brought a team into this league, and this is an incredibly difficult position to be in. You're heading into the pro league, and we didn't know what you guys were going to do. No one really had any understanding of what you guys could bring to bear. And right out the gate, it was impressive. And then making a Sunday at your second event, undefeated in Chicago in the prelims. And the future is incredibly bright for the New Orleans Hurricanes. So without any further ado, what are your thoughts on this it was an up and down season, but as far as a first season in the pro league, it couldn't have really been any better for you guys. I'm sure you would have loved to win an event or make it to the finals, but with no bot superstars, totally homegrown team. I mean, it just, as far as a blue collar way to do it, you guys literally did it blue collar hardcore the whole way through, and we're incredibly impressive, respectful showing. Yeah, what do you got for us, Mike?
Well, first of all, thank you very much to you gentlemen for doing this. Quinn, Maddie, anybody who voted on the fans.
I wore a suit for you, Mike.
By the way, I just took my tie off right before I came on. I was at a speech actually from a famous SEC collegiate coach, Ron Polk. So my son's a baseball player. So and Ron is an incredible champion. So again, thank you. It's incredible. The paintball community is incredible. The Hurricanes are very honored, and we're humbled by this. We think this is fantastic. We didn't anticipate this. But we greatly appreciate our fans. It's funny. You say, hey, it was an up and down season. It was. We met all our goals, save one. And that last one was our fault at World Cup. Our goal was to make top 10 for the season. We ended up 11th overall. But had we won one more match, we dropped it in overtime to extreme. And that's on us. But I think the pessimist says, oh, no, the wind's changed. And the optimist says, but the wind will change. And the realist says, let's adjust the sails. So that's what we've got to do, right? We've got to, we had a pretty good rookie season, but now it's time to step up because now the real work starts.
Well, what's impressive is that even after everyone realized, oh, okay, well, we can't sleep on the Hurricanes, you guys still showed up in Chicago and handled your business, so even after you had the kind of get punched in the face and, oh, you're fighting someone like, oh, damn, all right, well, I can't really drop my guard against this opponent because I'm gonna get knocked out. You still were able to exert your will on opponents, so that was impressive. And I remember talking to you in the beginning of the year, and you were very pragmatic, very realistic, like you said, the realist situation. And okay, well, we have certain goals, certain things that we're trying to achieve. And maybe you could just break that down for everyone real quick before we head on, just because I think this is something that, some people need to understand the realism of a difficult situation. Because I feel like, Jesus, you guys had an incredibly realistic view of the fight in front of you, and were able to prevail because you had that realistic view. You weren't puffing up your chests up and, asking for things before they were, before they were earned, and you earned all the respect you got this year. And really you did. No one speaks about the Hurricanes in a down tempo way. Everyone gives you the respect that you've earned because, like you said, you said, yeah, in the sense you finished 11th. There's 20 pro teams, and in your first year, you took 11th overall. Dude, unbelievable, bro. Well done. So yeah, talk to me about the realistic approach to a tough trial.
Well, we wanted, I think we wanted to set realistic goals. We wanted, like you said, I am pragmatic. I'm a logical based animal that wants to look at things and understand. I'm a data guy. I remember when you first walked up to me in Texas, right? And I said, Maddie, I'm not real good at this thing, so I'm not sure you want to talk to me. And because I'm boring.
Remember that.
It's math. Paintball is math. But no, we did. We set very basic goals. Hey, let's win a point. Let's try and attach points. Let's win some matches. And let's not get last. So let's go out there, execute the game plan. Let's keep our heads. I firmly believe the guy who keeps his head in a gunfight keeps his head. So that's why if you're ever in a hurricane pit, we're pretty calm. We look at things realistically. We don't get rattled. We lose a point or we get destroyed in 30 seconds. Hey, it's going to happen. It's paintball. It's not like teams haven't seen other teams get destroyed in 30 seconds in paintball. We've seen it a lot. So, you gotta brush that off, turn around, adjust, and go punch them back in the face. So, great example of that, Chicago. I gotta quit making a habit of this, but we got to quit going down by 4 points against the Russians and having to come back. That's something I don't appreciate the guys doing to me. But I love how they reach deep. We've had this conversation 100 times. The guys are men, and so they reach deep, they keep it together. And they go out there and do what they need to do. And I think that's the success, what the key to our success. And I hope it continues to be that way. As cliche as it may sound, the team's synergy. We work well. We just work well together. We have a good process. We have a good approach, I think. And we want to be the geese of paintball, right? Because geese fly in formation, right? And that flapping of the wings creates lift for the goose behind him, which allows them to go 70% further if they were to do it alone. So we want to be the goose of paintball and be that team that lifts each other up and goes further.
Yeah, and maybe we could
really
just
stupid
touch
now
on.
that I listen to myself.
No, that
I say
no,
some dumb
I'm with
things
you on.
sometimes.
Hey, Mike, one of the reasons we love you is you say a lot of intelligent things a lot of times. That's kind of your reputation. And I just kind of want to lean into that a little bit. I feel like, look, if you're looking at the Hurricanes, there's literally no reason that you guys should have done as well as you did. You have no superstar players. You have no rich owner. You have no big, gigantic sponsor trying to throw a ton of money behind you guys. You have not coached a pro team before. There's literally not one. There's not one metric that we were looking at this before the start of the year where we're like, yeah, the Hurricanes are totally going to take 11th place out of 20. Yeah, this makes a ton of sense. Let's bet on that. But that's exactly what happened. So again, we could break this down for hours, and you and I have discussed this on shows before, and we're going to continue to discuss this because, yeah, dude, you're a prime mover in paintball right now. But I think it's the work ethic. It's your intelligence as a coach. It's the lieutenants and sergeants that you have on the team and their intelligence and their ability to understand what they need to do in crucial situations. Your guys' ability to read fields, to read opponents, all of these huge things that have a giant, magnificent effect on the outcome is the reason that this quote unquote underpowered nobody team that no one has ever heard of all of a sudden stepped up and beat a ton of named teams and had this crazy year and is winning this award. That's why you guys earned every bit of this award. So before I throw it to Quinn, and you got to get to a couple more guests, again, obviously you're a bright paintball mind, one of our best now. We got to keep having you on shows, of course, but why is that, Mike? Like, enlighten the people. What's the secret for you? How did you guys do this? Because there's a lot of people coming up the ranks. So like, how in the hell do the Hurricanes, with no stars and no support and no money, and how did they do this? Because it's incredibly impressive. Jesus, props to you guys, dude.
Well, thank you. Thanks for reminding me of that we're poor too. I
would call like I see it, bro. I'm sorry, but
it's a fact. You're spot on, Matty. The amount of money that's been thrown around is incredible, and I think it's good for the sport. But at the same time, anyway, that's a completely different. What's that acronym that we hear all the time for team? Together, everyone achieves more, or something like that. And it sounds ridiculous, but really that is the key to what we do. Our goal is to build upon each minor success. 0.001% gain is still a gain. An increase in any type of increase in productivity should lead to greater success, right? I mean, it's just math. We were just talking about math. I was joking about it, but I'm kind of serious. And that's what the goal of teamwork should be. Effective teamwork leads to improved results. So you and I, the very first time we spoke in Texas, I said, we've got to improve our consistency, because consistency at practice leads to consistent improvement, and consistent improvement eventually leads to success. So I think consistency leads to success in this game. And paintball's no different from any other major sport. There are certain things that have to happen. We are about efficiency. And I think another thing, you mentioned the sergeants and the lieutenants and myself. I think a good leader has to be a good follower too. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you have to apply and filter, I do, at least with my team, a collective knowledge and skill sets and of everyone on that team. And I think that's our power. I think that's our strength. There's no egos here with the Hurricanes. We looked at that season and everyone says, hey, you guys had a really great season. We're like, should have been better. You know, we could have done better. There are things we look at. We look at mistakes and we build on them. We don't dwell on them, but we build on them. So who was it who said, there are no gifted and ungifted here, only those who withhold themselves and those who give of themselves. So I think that's, who did say that? I'm going to have to remember that one. But that's the Hurricane way. And we couldn't do it. And of course, I got to say this real quick. We could not do it without our family, our friends, our sponsors. We have the best fans in the world. We have one of the greatest field owners, Drew Bankston from LA Extreme down in Slidell, Louisiana. And we're a family. You hear that a lot, but I'm the godfather to several children on the team. And that's not just an Italian thing, right? That's a real thing. We love being around each other's families and children. Our wives, love each other, and our girlfriends hang out, and everything's great. And it's just, we could not do it with that. And I think it's that realistic approach to this, recognizing that our work is cut out for us, especially this season, especially this first event.
You guys earned every bit of this Breakout Team Award, though, bro. Because if you look at your performance in Chicago, I remember. We were staying at the same hotel, and I was walking to dinner one night, and I think I walked past. I think it was camp, and and I asked him, like, hey, just a general, like, we're walking past each other. I'm on my way to eat. He's coming back from eating because that hotel we're staying at was a bunch of restaurants. I'm like, hey, bro, how you doing? And he said, he's like, Matty, we're undefeated in the prelims, and we beat some good teams. I'm doing absolutely fabulous. And this was all like on a walkthrough, because if you look at that,
that's Daniel.
Event, yeah, Daniel Camp, but you guys, you beat Heat by 1, you beat Thunder by 1, you beat Up on Uprising by 4, and then you beat the Legion by 1 too. So you went undefeated, beating these legends. And then, you ended up rematching against Heat, but you lost by 1. And it just, Jesus, bro, like, you guys you're so close. And this is where you're at now in the very first year in the pro division. So when we had Ryan Greenspan on, and he was talking about, hey, Matty, what do you think about, how good our team's, been historically? Is this the best run we've ever had? And I said, every single one of the 20 pro teams made Sunday in 2022. The fact that you guys have won 6 of 11 events and 3 in 2022, 6 events in the past, since 2020, after COVID, essentially, because that was a big reset. Since then, Dynasty's been going off, right? But considering how good you're getting, how good all these up and coming teams are getting, every team made Sunday, yeah, dude. So it was just, you guys have a very bright future in front of yourselves. Though I will say, Mike, you got to keep that team together, because people are going to come for your stars, bro. Keep it come for your stars. Quinn, you got anything for Mike before we let him go?
Yeah, I guess to make a longer question short, Mike, you've been writing a blog for quite a long time, and it gives a really interesting look into, the behind the scenes of coaching and what it takes to build, strong players and a strong organization. How does that process play into your development as a coach? Is that something that you found has helped you improve over time, kind of getting your thoughts out there publicly?
That's a great question. The whole Zen and the Art of Paintball thing started as a kind of therapy. I was driving my wife and children crazy because I'm like, this process should be working. This process works here. I'd like to think that I proved that process worked. I took over a second to last place divisional team in CEP. And my wife said, you're always talking about the process. This is your chance to prove it. So I implemented that process and documented a lot of it, as you know, Quinn, that season, and they ended up winning the division. And it was interesting. So I've just been a lot of that. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of it is me studying other coaches. I had great mentors, Paul Richards, Shane Pastana, Matt Sossman, Mike Paxson. And then of course my own baseball coaches, my own kickboxing instructors, my own, wrestling coaches. I'm quite the martial artist. And so, marrying that, along with my family, a lot of my family is Marine Corps. So taking the disciplined approach, that's what it comes down to. The difference between motivation and discipline, right? Motivation is wanting to do something. Discipline is doing it. So I think that's really what it is. So to answer your question, it's good to get it down on paper. Matter of fact, a lot of times I get notified because I have editors. My editors are my wife and Aaron Pate on the Hurricanes. And I'll send it to them and they're like, no, you can't publish that. That's too much information. You need to keep a lot of it in here. So, but yes, sir, it is good because especially when I do the event recaps, that to me, that I think is good information for me because I'm able to really relive that, go back and try to plug holes at the next practices.
Well, Mike, keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see what you guys have in store for next year. We're expecting at least 2 or 3 wins out of you guys. So don't let us down.
Yes, sir. Roger that.
Yeah, Mike Bianca, dude, again, such an integral part to the Hurricane success story. I mean, again, if you don't have somebody that's going to help, be the bright mind that he is. And Quinn, like I agree with you. We talked about this off camera. I've talked about a ton of people about Mike Bianca, but that team is full of emerging players that could be big stars in the league. We just don't really know because we need, at least 2, 3, 4 seasons before people can kind of step up and really, truly, make their mark on it. But man, they have had quite a few guys step up last year, and it was impressive to be, kind of talk to Mike along that road. And yeah, man, the breakout team of the year, that was another one where I'm looking, I'm like, that's got to be the Hurricanes. That was my vote for sure. All right, so Quinn, looks like we got one more winner here to discuss in this show, which really happy we got a chance to pick all these people's brains. Who's the last candidate here, last victor that we're going to be giving some glory to?
So yeah, the final guest of this 2-hour plus show now, that's been a total joy, is going to be the WNXL Player of the Year, Jen Folk of the Heroines, who were also the season champions in its inaugural season.
Yeah, the Heroines were absolutely outstanding. They took 3rd at the first event, and then 2 firsts. There was only 3 WNXL events throughout the season. So yeah, a 3rd, a 1st, and a 1st, and that was kind of one of the big stories, or one of the big questions was on the WNXL side of things. And I kept sending messages to everyone on that side, that, people that were, commentating it, the people that were watching it, the people that ran the teams, some of the players, like, hey, who's over there making moves? Who are going to be our stars? So congratulations to Jen. And if we could bring Jen in here, that would be great. Jen, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing outstanding. Great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the efforts you put into this sport, because lo and behold, put a little effort behind something and your natural talent shows up, with the effort you've put in, and now you're winning Player of the Year award in the WNXL. So I just kind of want to throw it to you first as we spark this conversation, maybe, 10 minutes or so that we got with you. How are you feeling about this? I mean, it was a crazy year in the WNXL, but you guys took a 3rd, a 1st, and a 1st. You guys were by far the best team, but you were contending with some other squads out there. And then I was just saying before you came on that, I got all my, quote unquote spies out there in the paintball world And I kept asking, like, who's stepping up? Who's doing really well? Who are the girls we got to be looking at? Like, how's this going down? And then you're the one that ends up getting this award. So how you feeling about this? How you looking at the landscape for, paintball on the female side of things? Let's just kind of start there.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even, honestly, I think first things first is how do I request the 7 p.m. Eastern slot? Because I'm about to fall asleep. No, I'm kidding. But really, I was like, man, like I need to start requesting the Marcelo time slot or something because, now I'm like brain dead. But no, I'll do my best. No, I mean, it's obviously an honor. I think, going into the first season, like I've said this a million times, no one really knew what to expect. And I think that, everybody was just everybody's main goal, I think, was to prove themselves, including myself. And I think that was probably my key goal for the season was just to prove what I'm made of. And, that was in the back of my mind the whole season is just, prove that, you've got what it takes and that you've put in the work and that you love the game. And I think that that's just like the key to most things is just loving the game. And I think that shows, depending on how much time you put in and how much work you're willing to do. And, I think it paid off in the end here, and I'm just happy to see that. And of course, like I said, it's an honor. So thank you guys. Of course, I can't go without thanking you guys for putting this on and for, the honor for this award.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things where it's like, you're kind of waiting, I don't know, for people, there's possibilities out there. There are opportunities for people to step up and take things. That's what paintball is. It's an opportunity to take something. And that's one of the blessings of this game because, yeah, you have the ability to take something from someone else, but they have every ability to try to take it from you too. And that's how this game works. And the fact that you girls went out there and were able to kind of take over the narrative on the, the WNXL side of things. How was that battle this year for you? Because it didn't, obviously, with the first place coming later on in the year, it didn't start out like, oh, we're winning right out the gate. In Texas, it was, or, it just wasn't that way. So you guys had to kind of fight a little bit of an uphill battle. Obviously, you're, taking a third place, but, kind of talk to me about the motivation throughout the year to be that dominant team out there.
Sure. So I think, I think first things first, not only about this topic, but just about the WNXL in general is, I think going into this very first season of this, no one knows who you are, except for maybe if you're Rosie McCarley and Brad, your husband. Nobody knows who you are other than that. But
or
so,
maybe.
everybody has something. Exactly. That's, yeah. Or Tammy Adamson or, any of the legends in the game. So I think, going into a brand new league where you are in the spotlight a little with the premier field and just kind of being put, on the screen, I think that, like I said, there's a lot to prove. And of course I took that personally. And, we took that as a team as something that, we had to prove is, you don't already have that label as the best WNXL team or the best female players in the game. Like that doesn't exist. We don't have that. We're not a team like Dynasty who's been around forever and everybody expects that of a team like Dynasty, right? So we had to prove up front that we were that team. So that was the goal starting from the beginning, was to prove that we were the dominant team in the WNXL. And I think by the end of the year, we did that. We did accomplish that. But at the start of the year, I mean, I remember, like I said, when I first got the call from Rosie about, joining the Heroines what feels like a million years ago now, when she told me the lineup of players, right? When she told me the lineup of players, I was like, oh, okay, this is a no-brainer. Like, no question. Like, this is going to be the best team there. And, we got together and we started practicing before the first event and everything felt good. And I think that we came in hot. I mean, we took third. However, if you look at the prelim games, I mean, our first two games were 7-1, 6-1. I mean, we were still on fire. And I think that might've been a detriment up front, was just coming out so strong and then feeling like we had everything totally under control. And then I think the moment that you slip just a little bit, is when you find out, okay, let me bring it down a notch and take that confidence. There's a balance between confidence and, what's the word I'm looking for? Caution, maybe.
Competency
and respect. Yeah. Something like that. So, I think that on Sunday in Florida, when we lost to Destiny by 1 point in a very, very close match, I think that was that was it for us. That was the turning point. And there was absolutely no looking back at that point. So I think after that, that was heartbreaking for us. And I think that at that point, there was absolutely no choice but from that point on, to prove that that was totally unacceptable and that we are the best team in the league and that we were going to prove that. So, we came out strong in Philly again with multiple Mercy wins and prelims. And I think we just, we had to get our heads on straight and realize that you aren't given anything, no matter what you've done in the past and even in prelims, so it was just, hard work and being humbled. And I think it ended up paying off in the end. So can't complain too much, but I'd like to go into the next year with more than 2 wins. That'd be great.
What do you, I feel like it's just, to me, I don't know, this is just blatantly apparent, but what are your thoughts on, okay, so the females have a awesome showcase right now. But to me, paintball has always been, and it has been this way for a long time, is like, in paintball, no one really ever cares where you're from, what you look like, what color you are, what religion you are, what gender you are, at least in my experience. And I'm talking to other people, even like old school heads at this last event, talking like a guy like Paul Heads from Image, who, African-American dude from the South, but it's just like, I love this about the game. Like, this is about what can you bring to this game, and it's all about your skill level. But I am happy that that we have the WNXL has its own place to thrive. What are your thoughts on that? Like heading into next year, how do you think crazy you think competition is going to be? Because I feel like we are kind of starting to see people come out of the woodwork to try to be a part of this, and that's the whole point of making it a thing. But what are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah. So, I think the number one goal, at least as I understand it, for the WNXL was, I think, visibility. So just being visible to other women and girls of all ages that maybe knew about the sport and hadn't really, felt comfortable getting involved, or maybe they didn't know about it all. Female athletes that play other sports that didn't know about it. I think just the reach is the main goal in my mind of the WNXL, is just getting more women and girls being comfortable playing paintball. And if that starts by being in an environment such as a WNXL team or a team made of women, totally fine. But absolutely, to your point, Maddie, I think that there is absolutely nothing that keeps women from playing against men. And I don't ever want there to be any misconstrued understanding that that's the mindset, because that is not the mindset. The mindset is not that women cannot play with the men. That they absolutely can, and I do. 100%. And many of my not even just on the heroes, but on Destiny and right.
I just real quick, because I follow you on social media, and you're a paintball player. You're not a female paintball player. You're a paintball player, and I'm glad we have carved out a space for specifically a female division. But paintball has always been kind of like, one of the old. So there was a professional paintball player years ago, Karen Barber, that played on the All-Americans back in the mid '90s. This has always kind of been a place where it doesn't matter, again, where you are, where you're from, what you look like. It's just all we care about is how good are you. That's all we care about, So, but I've seen that you're a paintball player. So, I've been following you on Instagram, and I see that you play a lot of paintball, and yeah, you play on the heroines in the WNXL, but I don't look at you as like just a female paintball player. You're a paintball player. I'm not saying that for the political clout or any bullshit. Like, that's just how I look at things, because to me, here's the level of play. And I don't care, so I get my hand into view here. Like, here's the level of play. You got to be this good. And we've never cared ever about any of the other bullshit. All that matters is how good are you. That's all that matters, because we're trying to win paintball tournaments out here. So I think it's really cool that, one, there is a place that women can compete against each other. But I just wanted to give you credit, because it does appear that, you're just a paintball player. You're not just like, just out there playing on the heroines, which is good and it's awesome. But I just want to give you props as just being like just a paintball player, just someone that's out there doing whatever you can to play wherever you can, whenever you can.
Right. Exactly. And I was playing paintball before, like many of us that are in the WNXL were playing paintball before the WNXL. And I guess ultimately, and I might get flack for saying this, but the WNXL isn't for us, right? We're just here to, I guess, help make it thrive. So the goal with like I've said already, the goal is to get other girls playing the sport. And I think that that's the, goal number one. But exactly to your point, I mean, this is not the end all be all. I mean, girls play paintball regularly at home with their, normal teams, and I'm one of them. And, I think it's just, I've had people ask me, like, why are you playing the WNXL? Like, you play on this team, like, why do you, I'm like, I mean, it's more paintball. Who's going to complain about playing more paintball? But no, I honestly, guys, I live and breathe paintball right now. It's just, I never would have thought it would have been something that would have taken over my life like this. But I think that, if you're going to be, playing in multiple leagues and on multiple teams, it's a not a full-time job, but a full-time commitment. And it's been a whirlwind, trying to balance between, playing the WNXL and giving my all to the Heroines, and then also, playing with my guys on my home team and giving my all to them and trying to succeed in both. So I'm glad to see the fruits of the labor, coming out with the Heroines and with this award. And I'm hoping to just do better and better. Cause for me, like, it's great, but I want better, and I want more, and I want to see, everything grow, and including our team. And so this is not the end. So only up from here.
We got to make sure. Hey, we got to make sure you got the jersey sales up. You know what I'm saying? You need to get your own gun. Jersey price point should be around $200. Don't sell yourself short, girl. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, like, that's definitely the way to make a little extra money.
So speaking of that, we had our 3D Heroines jerseys at Philly this year, where if you put on like the red and blue 3D glasses, you could see like the 3D come off the jersey. And those were like a huge hit. And each of the players basically only got one of those. And after we were done wearing them, for sure, like, we weren't going to wear them again, I donated mine to Andy Horvath, who has just this massive jersey collection. And I knew it would go into the vault and it would never be seen again.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just got an insane collection. So he hung it up in his Mutiny booth at World Cup right after I gave it to him. And he said that somebody came and offered him like $350 for it. And I was like, oh my God, I should have kept that one. No, but I was very happy. I told him to keep it and to put it in the vault, because I thought it was a great jersey design, and everybody loved that one. So yeah, definitely got some value out of that one, I think.
Yeah, well, Andy Horvath from Mutiny, and also from AC Diesel, he has one of the most amazing jersey collections known to man. I think he's the PB jersey collector on Instagram, and a lot of people didn't know that was him for a while. I didn't know that was him for years, but anyway, yes, his jersey collection. I literally saw him because my old man, my dad, he texted me the other day, and he's like, I found like a couple of your jerseys in like a box in our garage. And he pulled out like my jersey from the movie Push, one of my excessive jerseys, and like some old school stuff. And he's like, dude, your old man found like a gold brick. And I'm like, I don't want to sell to him yet. But yes, Jen, you're becoming very well known. You probably should have a couple jerseys. You should probably print a couple more of those things. But yeah, just again, we can't keep you all night. But I think it's really cool what's going on. What do you think is going to be going down for 2023 here in the WNXL? Like, give me your thoughts on it. Obviously, you guys are the top dogs. You guys are the team that everyone's going to try to take down. I'm really happy that you won this award. Are there any other, what you consider like the leading lights, charging the front lines on the female side of things, as far as teams or players are concerned, that you're going to be leading the charge in 2023? Could be the people you're looking to take down, or like try to keep off, or not take down, but like keep off of your throne.
Sure. I mean, honestly, even, the girls that were nominated in the category with me, I mean, I've got to give it to the Blanco sisters. They are just phenomenal players. And in my opinion, some of the best players in the league. Obviously they're a huge powerhouse team for Destiny. And I fully expect them to come out swinging in 2023. Destiny's going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think that they're going to be coming hard. And I keep telling the girls on Heroines, I'm like, guys, like, we cannot keep riding these laurels. Like, we got to go into the next one not expecting anything, and just keep, it's easier to get to the top than it is to stay there. Again, unless you're dynasty, I guess. But I just keep telling them, like, it's only going to get tougher. So, I think it's one of those things where, we just have to bring our A game and not expect anything, but everybody's best play. So yeah, I think Destiny's going to be coming out strong. I think one of the most underrated teams is actually the Femmes. I think that they have some incredible talent on that team, and I fully expect them to come out even bigger and better this year than they did in the past. And I'm super excited to see what they bring to the table. Of course, we've got 2 new teams coming in that I'm really not familiar with. I don't know really who's going to be on those teams, but I'm excited to see the league grow. And I think that it's, there's going to be a lot of fun matches to watch. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good season. I think that now that everybody's kind of got this first season out of the way and we all know what to expect and how things are going to be, I think now we're okay. Like, let's go into the fight, so it'll be interesting. But I'll just see them on the field, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Quinn, any thoughts or questions for Jen before we sign off? And then you and I got to kind of circle the wagons a bit before we close the show. But yeah, I mean, I just think it was really fun for me after all these years because females have, again, since I began this, have always been a part of it, considering one of them was playing pro when I got into it in the mid 90s, and then kind of seeing this through the years. But this is crucial. This is half the population are females. The gun is the great equalizer. Why are we not putting more effort towards this? I'm very happy this is happening. Quinn, what do you think?
No, for sure. I mean, I'm super excited to see players like Jen kind of leading the charge of this movement. I mean, this is something that has been long awaited in the sport of paintball, and I think it's going to be huge in the long-term growth, just getting more people involved in the game. Again, Jen, I want to say congratulations for winning the Player of the Year award in the inaugural season. I'm hoping we all look back at this as a big moment for the WNXL and, the league in general.
For sure. No, I appreciate
Jen,
it. I think it's, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. No, I was just going to say, anyone you want to thank before we kind of let you sign off? Because, I mean, yeah, this is kind of crucial, not to put pressure on you, but girl, you did just win, Player of the Year. This is a big deal. I mean, we haven't had one of these yet. We've been singing all the praises. I mean, Ryan's been around for 20 years. I've been talking about how awesome he is since he was 15. We just got to know each other. We're just getting to know each other now. Like, it's a big deal. Like this is legit. So yeah, what do you have anyone to thank or any of your last thoughts?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess my last thought is like I said, it's an honor. I hope that there are, girls out there watching this that are watching the Heroines and watching me that, are inspired to play the game. This game has a lot to offer, and I'm just hoping that this is reaching the right audience and that it's been worthwhile to, put my heart and soul into this. And I just hope that it does pay off the dividends in the long run. In terms of who I'd like to thank, honestly, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my husband, Chaz. He's the reason that I got into paintball. And more than that, he's the reason I am here today, that I'm in this seat on this, webcast doing this thing. He's always been very honest with me. He's the one who told me, stop playing like that. You look dumb, fix this, do that differently. You need to do this better. And still to this day, he still does that. I mean, I owe pretty much all of my success as a player to him. He's been the best teacher that I ever could have asked for. So I've never really been able to fully explain, how thankful I am for him always having my back in this sport and supporting me all the way through this. So other than that, of course, the Heroines, I mean, I wouldn't be here without them. I wouldn't be getting this award without them, and we wouldn't have won this season without them. So of course, I want to thank every single player on the Heroines, and just know that I love you guys, and you guys make this worth it for me. And of course, last, Anthony and Lori. I mean, the whole thing wouldn't exist without Anthony and Lori. So of course, 100%. Everything is due to Anthony and Lori. So I could talk for 20 years about what I owe the two of them, but all love to everyone on the Heroines and everyone in the WNXL and you guys. And yeah, looking forward to the next season. 22 is over. 23 is here. Let's go.
100%. You always got to thank the prime movers. That's why Mother's Day is so important, because I wouldn't be here without my mom as the prime mover. I wouldn't exist because, convinced my dad to have kids. And, without Anthony and Lori, it wouldn't exist either. They are the prime movers behind the WNXL. So mad props to them. Looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the future. And then, Jen, again, thank you so much. And keep the fires lit over there on the female side of things, because that needs to burn just as bright as the male side of things to have the best affect moving into the world. So mad respect. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
So Quinn, let's kind of talk a little bit here. Let's chop shop, man. What do we got here, man? I mean, it's been a long show. This was an hour longer than we thought it would be, but you know what? I'm glad it was, because I didn't know how we were going to shoehorn all these legends into a 2-hour long show. Yeah, the Iconic Awards are in the books. Is there anything that stands out to you? What was there any surprises, Anybody that you want to give credit to before we sign off? I mean, and when I'm talking about give credit to, I mean people that in your mind carried the flag for the sport this year. Not like necessarily people I know because you're the one that does everything behind the scenes for Iconic. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to give props to your vast support crew over there because, again, Quinn is the vast support crew. So everyone needs to pat Quinn on the back when you see him. But yeah, I just in general, I mean, were there any upsets, anything that was like a big moment this year from an award standpoint that bears note?
For sure. I mean, before I jump in that, I do want to mention I do have a little bit of a support staff here. I mean, of course, Maddie, yourself, you're a huge piece of this. I don't think, honestly, I'd be anywhere near even having 1 year done, let alone wrapping out the second year. I mean, your opinion's invaluable to me. You're always so dedicated to ensuring your judging is, pinpoint on, and I really appreciate that about you, and I appreciate all you've done to help kind of grow this. In terms of the awards themselves, I mean, I think it was just a phenomenal year overall. I mean, obviously Dynasty stuck out huge. I mean, they swept across, but I mean, the sport in general, I mean, the media just feels like every year since I've kind of been getting, more and more involved in the media side, like it's just growing more and more with like so many new and great creators and all these new conversations starting and more people, watching and consuming. And I think, I hope to at least think a little bit the awards kind of helps contribute to that and keeps these conversations moving. And I think that's honestly the most important thing for the game. So I'm just thankful for all the support more than anything. I mean, without the people reading and caring, all of this wouldn't matter for anybody. So that's what I'm most thankful for. I mean, the people that consume are truly the supporters of the game, and those who I have the most thanks to.
I agree with you. I would have to send my most thanks to everyone that does care about tournament paintball at its highest level, because that's who we're doing this for. And they are the ultimate arbiters of what we are, producing. So yeah, man, I mean, it was an amazing season last year. There was, I mean, there's a reason why we had a ton of Dynasty players on here, because they won 3 of 6 events. They're putting up high watermarks for everyone else to shoot for forever. And then behind the scenes, I'm really glad that you are including photographer, videographer, creator, all these different, side of things, because that is also a gigantic side of the innovator, products, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's all of it. We are but a tiny, you and I, every single individual involved in this, no matter how important you are, we are just kind of a mere, fraction of the overall equation that is the force of paintball moving into the world. And it's a beautiful thing. It can be a powerful thing in someone's life for the positive, as long as you're looking at it the right way. And yeah, the gifts of the game are manifest. So yeah, Quinn, thank you so much for everything that you've done. To me, I didn't really think there were any huge surprises this year, just because Dynasty was so dominant on the player side of things. And then behind the scenes, as far as the creators, I'm really happy that Mike Bianca and the Hurricanes won Breakout Team, just because you could not line up a more difficult proposition for the Hurricanes to come in and finish 11th overall. I mean, Jesus, this was a tough year for them to do that. So as far as surprises at the beginning of the year, if you had came to me and said, all right, Maddie, the Hurricanes are going to win Breakout Team of the year and they're going to finish 11th overall, I probably would have said, I'll take that bet. I wouldn't have called you crazy, but because I've seen bizarre things happen, but I would have taken that bet as a betting man. And so that was fun to see. And I love talking to Mike Bianca. And then on the female side of things, it's just really cool that we are integrating half of the population of Earth into the game of paintball and giving them their own place to play. So I think that's crucial to move forward too. But yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to 2023. Quinn, thank you so much for everything you do behind the scenes. We talk about prime movers all the time, and the people that are crafting content for people to consume are an incredibly important part of what we're doing, and you're one of those guys. So thank you for putting this all together. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
My only thoughts are the same one I always sign off with. Go on GoSports.com, watch their content, don't miss Defining Moments. It's been awesome so far. I've already watched it through like multiple times. I can't wait for more episodes to come out. Maddie's an incredible storyteller, and he tells stories worth telling and tells them in a way that's interesting. So, that's how I always like to sign off. Watch Go Sports and support the creators of the game.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Quinn, and everyone out there. We're going to keep the fires lit for 2023. It's going to be an incredibly fun year. We're going to actually have some shows coming up here for the beginning of this season. And then, we're about less than a month away. Defining Moments 2, episode 2 will be dropping relatively shortly. And then 10th through the 13th, March, we got the first event of the year. It's going to be a fun one. I'm Matty Marshall for Quinn Nadeau and the rest of the boys here at Go Sports and the NXL. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.